News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
12 noon, we have 67 degrees, heavy rain from the WTMJ Breaking News Center. I'm Connie Weber. The weather tops our news this hour. This rainy Monday, we could see several inches of rain in some areas. Storm Team 4's Brendan Johnson.
Dodge County, we've had the radar estimating anywhere between about 1 to as much as 2 inches of rainfall. But that steady rain continues all across southeastern Wisconsin, and we've got a flood watch, which will continue through late tonight until about 11 o'clock.
Brendan says some areas west of Madison have seen more than 3 inches of rain fall. We will have the complete WTMJ 5-day forecast coming up in less than 10 minutes. Officials from NASA and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration held a press conference in Washington, D.C. today to discuss the latest climate data that shows July has been the hottest month for Earth on record. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson warns Mother Nature is sending a message with the several major weather disasters that occurred in the U.S. last month.
We have record flooding in Vermont. We have record heat in Phoenix and in Miami. We have major parts of the country that have been blanketed by wildfire smoke. And of course, what we're watching in real time, the disaster that has occurred in Hawaii with the wildfires, which were in part fueled by a typhoon or hurricane that was out in the Pacific.
Those wildfires on Maui have killed at least 96 people. It's the deadliest fire in the U.S. in more than 100 years. State officials say about 2,700 structures are destroyed, most of them homes. FEMA estimates the damage total at $5.6 billion. The Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis today presenting evidence to the grand jury tasked with deciding whether there's sufficient evidence to indict Donald Trump for interfering with Georgia's 2020 presidential election and trying to overthrow its results. The return of an indictment would bring the former president's criminal cases to 4. ABC senior reporter Catherine Faulders tells us what moving parts are out there right now.
Most of the action so far, at least, has taken place on the special counsel's investigation. So we know that now there's a protective order in place in the January 6th investigation. That means that Trump's legal team will start receiving discovery from, of course, the prosecutors. And then in Mar-a-Lago, they're also in the evidence sharing phase as well.
NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell in Green Bay today discussing Titletown's plan to host the 2025 NFL Draft. Goodell credits Packers president Mark Murphy for his work behind the scenes.
There's no one who's a greater supporter of this community and all it can do. So, Murph, congratulations to you and your team for what you've done.
Discover Green Bay expects more than 200,000 visitors to attend events surrounding the draft. It should bring an estimated $94 million impact to the state. Former Brewers pitcher CC Sabathia will be honored by the club Friday, August 25th for his role in helping clinch the team's first playoff berth in 26 years at that point.
September 28, 2008, a date Brewers fans remember well and Sabathia spent time reminiscing about on Monday.
Swing and a bouncer, double play ball. JJ second, relay.
I remember getting the ground ball and like throwing my arms up and turning around and seeing Kendall coming towards me, but that was it after that.
Sabathia also saying some of his closest friendships were born in Brew City.
Mike Cameron and Ricky Weeks and Prince Fielder, Billy Hall, those are still some of my closest friends to this day.
What a performance by Sabathia.
Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
Sabathia was dominant in limited time with the Brewers, going 11-2 across 17 starts with a 1.65 ERA. Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up just a fraction. The S&P 500 is up 18. The Nasdaq Composite is up almost 97 points. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button today. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:04.
It's a city from a fairy tale on the Mediterranean Sea.
Netanya, the city of diamonds.
And in this city of diamonds lived a crazy genius named Moses Hadara.
Moses was a mathematician,
a diamond cutter,
and a bit of a theoretical physicist.
Albert Einstein devised a formula, E = mc squared.
Albert's formula unleashed the power locked inside an atom.
Moses' formula unleashed the power locked inside a diamond.
Moses began with star facets,
kite facets,
upper girdle facets,
lower girdle facets,
and pavilion facets.
But then a voice told him to add 24 new facets, the Moses facets.
When he cut the final one,
Shazam!
Moses unleashed an explosion of light.
That dazzling diamond is known today as the Kessler 81.
See it for yourself.
See it for yourself.
See it for yourself.
At Kessler's.
To find the Kesslers nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
Got chronic joint pain but want to avoid steroids and surgery? Take some advice from pro football legend Emmitt Smith. Call QC Kinetics.
Let QC Kinetics help you improve your quality of life with biologic therapies that get your body to repair and restore damaged tissue.
These exciting new regenerative treatments from local medical professionals can help your body heal itself with lasting pain relief.
Trust me, you want to avoid surgery if you can. Check out these biologic treatments to see what your options are.
QC Kinetics. Restorative, regenerative solutions with no downtime, no surgery, no drugs.
I'm talking about joint pain we all can relate to in your knees, your shoulders, your hips, and your lower back. They'll get you feeling good again.
Get relief now.
What are you waiting on? Make the call to QC Kinetics. Tell them Emmitt Smith sent you.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
Freddie Peralta tossed 6 scoreless innings, and the Brewers' offense poured in 7 runs as they go on to complete the 3-game sweep of the Chicago White Sox, this one by a final score of 7-3. With the victory and a loss by both Chicago and Cincinnati, the Brewers now leading the NL Central Division by 3.5 games. The Brew Crew with an off day today as they will begin a 3-game series with the LA Dodgers on Tuesday night. The Packers are back at practice later this morning, where NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell is expected to visit after awarding the team the NFL Draft for 2025. And lastly, staying with the NFL, former Wisconsin Badger and All-Pro running back Jonathan Taylor, who remains at odds with the Indianapolis Colts over his contract, is expected to return to training camp later this week. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads with your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic delays right now. I-43 southbound from Brown Deer Road to downtown. Some construction work going on in that area and some ramp closures. Usually about an 11-minute drive. It's running about 15 minutes this afternoon.
Traffic is brought to you by Crest Cadillac. Find them at CrestCadillac.com. Crest Cadillac of Brookfield, located on Capitol Drive, just west of Interstate 41. Discover Crest Cadillac at CrestCadillac.com.
WTMJ 5-day forecast. We have heavy rain, showers, and storms today, a high of 70, and those storms will continue overnight. Overnight low of 64. The rain ends early tomorrow, becoming sunny on Tuesday, a high 76. Wednesday, sunshine 84, a chance of rain again on Thursday with a high of 82, and then sunny on Friday with again a high of 82 degrees. Right now, Madison 64, Green Bay 63, and Milwaukee 67 degrees. I'm Connie Weber, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 1208.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at The Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Come join the conversation on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome to the show. Special thanks to everybody who came out over the course of the last 10 days or so to say hi at the Wisconsin State Fair. Always a good time. Always nice to be back at the studio as well. Haven't seen my producer Samantha in the better part of like 2 weeks, so she's thrilled to have me back, I'm sure. Oh, she's smiling. She's saying yes. Paul Joseph, who used to be, for those of you who grew up around here, Paul Joseph used to be the chief meteorologist at today's TMJ4. And when I first started in radio a long time ago, he would always send out these memos telling us not to interpret the radar, because you got to go to school. You got to be a trained meteorologist before you look at this. Well, I don't know. With all deference to Paul, I'm looking at this, and there's this big blob of green and yellow. Thankfully, no like bright reds or anything. And, it looks like, actually, I know that Connie's forecast says it's going to go like overnight. I'm not sure. At the risk of interpreting the radar, I wouldn't be surprised if at least the heaviest stuff is probably out of here by the end of the afternoon. But again, I am not a meteorologist. Okay. Visual aid time. See, this is what we do because there's a number of ways you can listen to the show. And most people, look, I understand you listen to the show either on your radios or a lot of people stream it or a lot of people take advantage of the podcast. But one of the things we've been doing for the last month and a half or so is we've spent all this money and we have all these cameras that are in the studio. And actually the cameras travel with us so you could watch us from the State Fair. But you can also watch us on the stream and week after week, lots of people watch this show because we get to see the numbers on the different shows and things like that. Lots of people watch this program. And so I always want to try to do some visual stuff for them. How do you watch the show? Well, you can go to WTMJ.com. You can click on the Watch Live button, and there we are. Or you just go to Google or whatever, put in YouTube, and then put in WTMJ. We have our own WTMJ channel. So here's the visual aid. So I got last week. I would not, when I'm broadcasting from the State Fair, I don't stop off at the studio. I just go directly to the State Fair. So my producer Samantha and my former producer Charlie, they're telling me there's this big package that got delivered. And, of course, I'm always like, okay, well, is it ticking or anything? Is it moving? No, it seems fine. And I'm perfectly okay with them opening the package. But no, we wanted to wait till you got here. So I get in today, and they're like, okay, let's open this package. And so I open the package, and it's actually quite interesting because I talk a lot on this program about, media and how things have changed and how things have evolved. And one of the things we talk about a lot is the demise of newspapers. And my belief that with the exception of a couple big national newspapers like the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and USA Today and maybe one or two more, I think in the next 5 or 10 years, the daily newspapers that are delivered to your door, I just don't think it's going to happen anymore because the economics won't support it. I'm not saying the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel is going to go away, but I think it's going to be mostly, if not exclusively, digital. That's where they're moving to. But this listener, who was one of our listeners from across the pond in Michigan, sends me this giant package, and I open it up, and it's 2 newspapers. These are the Toledo Blade, which was the Journal-Sentinel, the equivalent of that in Toledo. And it's really interesting. I will now display this for the camera. And the first one he sends me is from Thursday, August 19th, 1976. So 47 years ago, this is the newspaper. The headline is Ford Wins. This is right after the Republican convention in 1976. Now, interesting piece of history. If you will recall, Richard Nixon resigned the presidency in August of 1974. Gerald Ford, who had become the vice president after Spiro Agnew had resigned in the face of corruption charges, Gerald Ford became the president. He ran for the Republican nomination, and he ran against Ronald Reagan. Now, this is before Ronald Reagan became the president. It was a very, very close race. And the headline, Ford wins, here I'm displaying it there, Ford wins by 1,187 to 1,070. Reagan pledges support. Kansas City, Missouri, that's where the convention was. President Ford defeated Ronald Reagan for the Republican presidential nomination Wednesday night in one of the closest contests in U.S. political history and turned today to the selection of a vice presidential running mate. Following the nomination, which came by a vote of 1,187 to 1,070 at the GOP convention, Mr. Ford traveled to Reagan headquarters to pay a post-midnight unity visit to the defeated candidate. They held a joint news conference in which they exchanged congratulations, with Mr. Ford congratulating Mr. Reagan for a very fine campaign, which really got us in shape, and Mr. Reagan telling Mr. Ford, "My congratulations to you. It was a good fight, Mom, and he won." All right, so that's the newspaper. Now, the reason I think the listener sent it to me is the size of it's like 5 sections. And this is just a Thursday newspaper. It's probably at least a third wider than the newspapers you get now. It's 5 sections, and it's got a heft to it. Even if you still do get a newspaper delivered, you're one of those people, normally speaking, you put it down and a wind blows, it's going to blow it away. This newspaper has heft to it, and it shows how things have changed over the years. The other really interesting thing about this headline, if we go to the side, all right, so very, very, if you think back to 1976, for those of you who were politically aware at the time, or this is just an interesting history lesson for people who might be younger, very, very contested race. Ronald Reagan this is before Reagan became president in 1980. Ronald Reagan was emerging. He was the governor of California. I'm not sure if he was still the governor of California in 76, but he was emerging as this sort of national conservative candidate, leading what went on to become the Reagan Revolution. But the really cool thing about this that I think is that contested primary race, very, very close, Ford wins in a very, very narrow race. And what is the first thing the two of them do? Okay, they come together for the good of the party. Gerald Ford goes over to Reagan headquarters after midnight, right after the convention, voting has wrapped up, congratulates Ronald Reagan on a great campaign. Ronald Reagan could not have been more gracious. He pledges his support. Now, Gerald Ford went on to lose the election to Jimmy Carter, probably because of his decision to pardon Richard Nixon. But what Reagan did by being incredibly gracious in 1976 is he laid the groundwork for him to become the Republican nominee in 1980 and go on to serve 2 terms as the president. Now, if we want to, and I don't think this is the point that the listener had in sending me this, but what's so amazing to me is, can you imagine that happening now? Let us just theoretically, Samantha's shaking her head. No, but think about this. Let's say there is a contested primary, contested primaries, the convention comes to Milwaukee a year from now, and you have, let's say Donald Trump loses to, I don't know, Senator Tim Scott. Okay, that's it. Can you see Tim Scott going over to Donald Trump's headquarters and Donald Trump saying, man, it was a great race. I lost this, but Mom, I lost the race, and here, shaking hands and a unity pledge. Can you see Donald Trump doing that? I mean, it's just, maybe, just maybe, if we go back to 40 some years ago, maybe this is kind of one of the lessons of what could happen. But this would never happen today. But it happened back in 1976. The other newspaper that they sent me is a year earlier. This is from Sunday, August 31st, 1975. There it is again. It's the Toledo Blade, and it was 35 cents. What do they charge for newspapers now? Sunday newspapers are like $2, $2.50, whatever. It was 35 cents. It is section after section. I'm going to have to look at the funnies. I still read some of them. Look at the funnies there. But it's section after section. This is from 1975. So this would be a couple weeks after Richard Nixon resigned. Sort of an interesting kind of thing. But again, I think the reason I was sent this is just to show how things have changed over the years. But it's kind of amazing how this whole thing, works out. All right. I'm just kind of curious because I grew up reading the funnies. I just think I love the funny papers, just because I think it's a great thing to help kids learn how to read. What was going on in the Toledo Blade funny papers in a couple sections? You got Peanuts, you got Family Circus. Family Circus is still around. Snuffy Smith, Hagar the Horrible, he's still around. Andy Capp, Doonesbury. Boy, all these different things. Mary Worth, Dennis the Menace, Funky Winkerbean, Blondie, High and Lois, Prince Valiant, the Flintstones. There's a whole nother section that's going on there. So the bottom line is newspapers have dramatically changed over the years, and I don't know, the way public officials respond to the news has dramatically changed over the years. Okay, when we come back, it's a story that has some people saying this justifies stopping something that I think we need to keep doing. I will tell you that, and we will discuss in just a moment. This is Jeff Wagner. We are broadcasting live from our studios in downtown Milwaukee. Stick around.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this. A Brewers game and a Vienna beef hot dog. The perfect recipe.
Wow. This is really good.
The only thing to make it better? Winning tickets to the Brewers game with Ticket Tuesdays on Wisconsin's Afternoon News. Every Tuesday at 3:35. It's Ticket Tuesdays, presented by Vienna Beef, the official hot dog of the Brewers. Better than all the rest.
Now, about your house. Eric Brown is the president of Siding Unlimited, your contractor for new windows, roofing, siding, decks, and a whole lot more. He knows about your house. So what do you know, Eric?
Do you have new siding and now you just want to keep it looking great? There are a couple things that come to mind when maintaining a beautiful home exterior. The first is just a good old cleaning. We recommend that you use a hose or a very light setting on your pressure washer to spray the dust off your siding. Don't force the water onto the siding very hard because water could get behind the siding and cause damage. Your home may or may not have a weather barrier behind the siding, and using high pressure water could cause problems. Definitely clean your siding to keep it looking beautiful, but don't get crazy and wash it off the building. Another quick tip to avoid siding issues comes with our favorite summer activity, grilling out. As much fun as it is to try different grilling recipes, using the grill too close to the home could result in some unforeseen disasters. When you use your grill, make sure it is away from the home. I like to make sure it is at least 7 feet from the house. If you have vinyl siding, the results of the grill being too close can be obvious, melted siding. However, if you have siding that won't melt, the heat from the grill could cause issues with the siding's paint or radiate through the siding and cause issues with the insulation, wiring, plumbing, or anything else in the wall that the heat could disturb. When you get new siding that is going to last a lifetime, just a few house cleaning tips can go a long way in preserving your beautiful home. Oh yeah, and keep the weed whacker away from the siding too. That never ends well.
Eric and his crews at Siding Unlimited are your go-to contractor here for replacement windows, roofing, decks, and, of course, siding. They are the best, as acknowledged by the many rewards their suppliers have conferred upon them. Now, take the next step. Check them out at sidingunlimited.com. Siding Unlimited. Siding and a whole lot more.
Back for more. Here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
All right, here is the story. Now, we have discussed this from time to time over the last, several months. What's happened is the Milwaukee Police Department, for a number of years, decided that for all intents and purposes, they were not going to chase people. Unless they had evidence that somebody was involved essentially in the commission of a crime, they would not chase. And as we've talked about many, many times, most of the times, the cops don't know why people are running. All right, they don't know if you got a body in the trunk. They just don't know. All they know is that they see a car that's speeding or has run through a red light or is driving erratically. They put on the bubble lights and the car takes off. They don't know why it's running. But for about 4 or 5 years, under former Mayor Tom Barrett and former Police Chief Ed Flynn, the decision was made, we're just going to let them drive off. And what happened was the word got out that the police would not chase. And that just started this entire just wave of reckless driving. Drug dealers got out of drug houses and started selling drugs out of their vans and stuff because they knew if the cops tried to pull them over, unlike a stationary drug house where somebody's going to kick in the door, you could just drive away. And that, I think, led to criminals just getting away over and over again. Well, we began to realize that that did not work. And so what happened is the policy changed. And now, essentially, the police will chase. Now, there are certain criteria, and they're supposed to use some judgment with, all right, when somebody runs away, if it presents an unreasonably dangerous situation to innocent bystanders or to the police, they will let the car drive away and hope to catch him again. But as a general rule, they're going to chase. If they find a car that has been, is running, they're just not going to let the people drive away. So what ends up happening is from time to time, and it seems like there's just, what are the numbers? I think I even have the numbers here that they were estimating, over 1,000 a year. And there are some people out there who wring their hands and say, this is the fault of the police. The police should not chase. They should not try to get the bad guys off the street. They should just let them drive away. Well, the problem is you let them drive away, and first of all, there's no guarantee that something bad isn't going to happen, because if you got somebody who's driving a stolen car at 90 miles an hour, whether you chase or not, doesn't mean that they're not going to run through the next red light and maybe hit somebody. And then, how do you explain that to the family member? Well, yeah, we knew that they were running away, but we just let them go. Secondly, if you don't catch the people that are, for example, driving the stolen car or who've committed the bank robbery and you just let them drive off, Do you think that they're not going to steal another car? Do you think that they're not going to rob another bank? So that's one of the reasons why I think you have to chase. But here's the latest story. All right, last night, Sunday, August 13th, 11:23 p.m., 68th and Silver Spring. So it's on, I guess, kind of Milwaukee's northwest side. I mean, I grew up in Glendale, so that's Milwaukee, but I mean, I know the area of 68th and Silver Spring closely. Here's what happens. 51st and Hampton. Officers see a stolen car that is wanted in connection with an armed robbery. So this isn't even something where, we don't know why the car is running. The car is stolen, and the car has been associated with a recent armed robbery. So if you're, the community, if you're the police, I think we want to catch the people who are driving the stolen car, who have been involved in the armed robbery. All right, so what happens is the police try to pull the car over. Inevitably, the car runs. The stolen vehicle fled from police, and a pursuit ensued. During the pursuit, the stolen vehicle crashed into another vehicle at the intersection of 68th and Silver Spring. So Silver Spring is the next big east-west street to the north of Hampton, and this is 17 blocks away. So the chase goes like 17 blocks plus, whatever the difference is between Hampton and Silver Spring. Get this. 7 occupants of the stolen vehicle were injured. 7 occupants. So there are just a ton of people that are in this car. There's 7 people crammed into the car. Police identified them as, wait for it, a 15-year-old male, a 16-year-old male, a 17-year-old male, a 17-year-old male, and an 18-year-old female from Milwaukee. So there are also then 2 unknown females. One of the people in the stolen vehicle, identified in medical examiner records as a 17-year-old male, suffered fatal injuries and was pronounced dead at the scene. So there's 7 people in this stolen car that has been involved in an armed robbery. They take off and flee from the police, and that they smashed into a second car in an intersection. 2 people inside the second vehicle were injured. They were identified as a 25-year-old female and a 42-year-old female, both from Milwaukee. Okay, so the police, again, describe this whole situation. Charges for the occupants of the stolen vehicle are pending review by the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office. So here you have it, stolen car full of minors. With the exception, there was one 18-year-old, but largely full of minors. They make the decision to run from the police. Now, this car was associated also with an armed robbery. They blow through an intersection. They hit a car, injure 2 women who just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and severely kill 1 and injure 6 other passengers in the car. There are a number of people out there who say, see, Jeff, this is why you are wrong. This is why they should not chase. This is why they should just let the car full of these kids who have been involved in an armed robbery, I think there's a reasonable inference from that, and are driving a stolen vehicle, they should just let them drive away, because there is the potential that they can blow through an intersection. And look, now you've got 7 people, 6 are injured in the car, 1 is dead, and you've got 2 other people who were hit, and they were also hurt. Okay, 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. All right, here's this. So you have one of I'm going to call them the bad guys. One of the people fleeing from the police is dead. In that car, 6 others are injured. Don't know the severity. 2 other women who, again, were in the wrong place at the wrong time. They're just in the intersection when this car blows through. All right, is this a justification for letting armed robbers, drug dealers, rapists, murderers, stolen car drivers, car thieves and whatever, is this an excuse for just letting them drive off? Because that's really what the effective option is. 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. We discuss in a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Wake up with me.
Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. Tune in every Monday and Friday at 8:15 during Wisconsin's Morning News. Everything you need to know about all your favorite Wisconsin teams in just 60 seconds.
Yelich bounces one to right. It's a base hit, and the Brewers win.
Every Monday and Friday at 8:15 during Wisconsin's Morning News.
The expectations are this, that guys go out there and compete to the best of their ability each and every day and embrace this grind.
Sponsored by Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac.
Where are we putting that money, and why are we putting it there? At Financial Strategies, you'll get answers to those questions to understand our approach. And the answers are going to be based on what we've learned about you. We're very engaged with our clients so that what we do for them fits their particular needs. But there are other things that we do that are equally important to the investment management portion of our services. I can't express how important it is to control the things you can control. At the end of the day, most investment managers will end up yielding similar overall returns. But knowing how to manage them wisely to avoid your nest egg being eaten away by the tax man, all legally of course, well, that's what I truly believe sets us apart. This is Jim Cantrell with Financial Strategies, Inc., and we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to financialstrategiesinc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial Strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here. Upgrade and transform your current bathroom space with Sidex Window Siding and Bath. The best in the business is Sidex. Free shower door upgrade when you mention WTMJ or John Mercure. They're doing our project. Old tub shower is out. New, beautiful, state-of-the-art walk-in shower is going in as we speak. Seasoned design consultants with 30 years of experience, family-owned since 1988. As a matter of fact, Joe is honoring his dad's legacy with top-tier products and expert craftsmen. It's Sidex, the best in the business. It's Sidex.
The workplace has changed a lot thanks to technology, and more recently, the shift to a flexible or remote schedule. Your business must adapt to maintain a great culture, attracting quality candidates and keeping them. You need Smart Spaces. The team of interior integrators at Smart Spaces brings creativity and expertise, assessing the walls, ceiling, lighting, flooring, furniture, and audiovisual systems to create places that matter in the modern world, fully functional for those in the building and for others to interact remotely. Get started today at smartspaceswi.com.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Coming up in just a couple minutes, I've got two examples of when you can tell in a TV newsroom or a newspaper newsroom when it's a really slow day. I've got two examples of that. Right now I want to talk about the police chase. If you're just tuning in, another situation last night. It happens about 11:30 at night. Seven, I'm going to say kids, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, two 17-year-olds, those are boys, 18-year-old female, and two other females. So 7 people crammed into a vehicle. The vehicle is stolen. The vehicle has been involved in an armed robbery. The cops see him on 51st and Hampton. They start to chase. The vehicle takes off, and about 17 blocks later, as it is running through an intersection, it hits another car, injures the 2 occupants of that car. The 7 people in the car, 6 of them are injured. 1 is dead. And now there's some of the usual suspects saying, well, see, this is an example of why it is that we shouldn't chase. 855-616-1620. Jeff, it's unfortunate what happened here, but I agree with pursuits generally. Related notes, I do wonder why police chase if the subject is known and can be apprehended later in a controlled situation. But that said, if we don't prosecute anyways, why chase? Well, I mean, first of all, that's assuming that you know who the subject is. Most times you don't. I mean, in this particular case, all you know is, hey, there is a stolen car. The car is stolen, and the car has been involved in an armed robbery. You don't know that, gee, it was Jeff that stole that car. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to get them off the street. Jeff, it makes me ill that people think this is the cops' fault. Please tell me, in what city in this country where liberal soft-on-crime policies are practiced have you seen a change for the better for law-abiding, tax-paying citizens? I'll clue you. Nowhere. 855-616-1620. Jeff, so we're not supposed to stop stolen cars, and we don't stop criminals from shoplifting for risk of getting fired. Where does it end? It's very frustrating, and it's also wrong. Yeah. Now, I do understand. You know, one of the arguments that a number of people are making on the text line is, Jeff, part of the problem here is It's not just a question of chasing. It's what happens, once you catch the people. And that's a very fair comment. In Milwaukee County, in particular, if you are a juvenile that's stolen the car and led the cops on a high-speed chase, the chances of significant consequences are really slim to none, and slim as on a bus out of town, because car theft and running from the cops is not treated as a serious sort of thing. Now, if you get to a point where you run through the intersection and you hit and you kill somebody, there's going to be some consequences for that. But really, that's pretty much what it takes. The argument that we would be so much better off if we really put teeth into enforcing laws, and when you run from the cops, maybe 5 years in prison should be on top of whatever else it is that you get. Then the message goes out that, hey, if I take off, if I try to book it, if I try to run from the police, I know that there's going to be accountability. Jeff, it seems like the DA's guidelines for prosecuting criminals require that someone gets maimed or killed, or he's willing to look the other way and try to get the perpetrators rehabilitated. It's the lawless wild, wild west without a sheriff in Milwaukee County. No, it's not the wild, wild west. It's worse than the wild, wild west. Jeff, let's see. My thought immediately was keep chasing these morons, and by the grace of God, no innocent people were killed on this. It's only the person that's suspected of armed robbery. I don't know if it's me with the change of times, but I have no feeling for him at all. I'm just tired of this, like a lot of other people are. Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. What we need to do is we need to just simply say, look, you can't run from the police. And here's what I really believe. I believe that the majority of these chases are caused by a relatively small group of people. But it's people doing the same thing over and over again. And why do they run? Why do they run? Because they know they can. Jeff, what about better technology to disable a vehicle instead of chasing it? Well, okay. If there's a way that you can give the police a magic button that allows them to push that magic button when the stolen car that's been involved in the armed robbery takes off from it 90 miles an hour, if there's a magic button that they have that they can push it to disable the car, I'm all in favor of it. I just don't know where that magic button is. And that's the underlying problem. But again, the spin on these stories that drives me absolutely crazy is, as one of our texters was saying, the implication that it's the police's fault, that the police did something wrong. The police did nothing wrong at all. The police are trying to catch an armed robber. The police are trying to catch people who have stolen a vehicle. The reason all this bad stuff happened was not because of anything the police did. It was because the bad guys, first of all, stole the car, secondly, engaged in the armed robbery, and third, took off and tried to flee. We cannot lose sight of that. And to the extent the other two people in the car that were hit are innocent victims, well, yes, they deserve to be absolutely outraged, and that's why every one of those people in the car, and it will be interesting to see, whether or not this was the first time for any of them at the rodeo. Now, most of them are juveniles, but my guess is if they are charged as adults, my guess is, and I will bet you all the money in my money clip versus all the money in Samantha's wallet, and Samantha does not carry cash, I will bet that it's going to turn out that the majority of those people in that car have been through the criminal justice system, the juvenile court system, and they've all probably had their wrists slapped time and time again. So you've got to just recognize that enough is enough. Mike in Crystal Lake. Mike, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hi, Jeff. How you doing?
Good. What do you think?
Yeah, number one, yes, you've got to chase. You can't just let criminals go. But I think one of the big things you can do is take the situation out of the district attorney and the judge's hands. When you run from the police, you have you get your charges, all charges for everybody in the vehicle, and everyone is charged, number one. Number two, no plea negotiations. It just is not possible when you run from the police.
Mm-hmm.
Number three, it has a mandatory jail time.
Yep.
that is not able to be suspended by the judge, and there's no parole. You're going to jail, either juvenile jail or adult jail, for a minimum amount of time. Same thing with gun charges. Should not be negotiated, should not be able to get a plea bargaining, should not be able to get a suspended sentence. You did it with a gun, you're putting people's lives in danger. You need to be taken out of society and put in a place where it's safe.
John, Mike, I'm sorry. I don't disagree with you at all. The problem is that even if you have mandatory minimum sentences, which I am a big believer in, the problem, the stumbling block is a district attorney, where, for example, you have a soft-on-crime guy like John Chisholm who wants to bend over backwards to avoid charging people with crimes. And because, we don't want to incarcerate these people or whatever. And what ends up happening is the police catch people, they refer it to the district attorney's office, and then the DA's office declines prosecution. I mean, what were the numbers? We were talking about it last week. There's new studies out there that says that they only charge about 4 out of 10 cases that cops refer to them. And look, and I understand that not every case that comes in from a police officer or a police agency, not every case needs to be charged. But when you are only charging 40%, that is pathetic. That demonstrates the soft-on-crime approach that's there. And that's just charging. That's before we even get, Mike, to what you're talking about, a plea bargaining or getting to the judges that put you on double secret probation and things of the like. But this story, look, it has a tragic result. You've got, a 17-year-old kid that's dead. You've got other people that are in the hospital. But the way this is going to be spun is, oh, my gosh, the police chased. Well, why did they chase? They chased because the bad guys committed crimes and then ran from them. That's where the problem is. And until we can make it clear that the penalties for running from the police are so great that people decide not to do it, or alternatively, we just start warehousing all the lowlifes who are running from the cops to the point that the word finally gets out that everybody that's inclined to commit crimes and run from the police is in jail. Okay, well, then until we do that, this type of stuff is going to happen. But we had 3 or 4 years where we did not chase. We just let people run, and all it did was contributed to the environment that we're still dealing with now, where people think it's fun to run from the police, it's fun to steal cars, it's great to commit armed robberies, and they're going to take off because, well, they're not afraid. Why do they do it? They do it because they think they can. Back with much more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
Hi, it's Rose Gray from Fox World Travel, inviting you on an unforgettable 2024 adventure. Explore Alaska, Europe, Hawaii, Japan, Egypt, Vietnam, and South Africa by land or river, exclusively with Fox World Travel. Our award-winning experts crafted extraordinary itineraries with Insight Vacations, Globus, Avalon Waterways, Uniworld, and Holland America. Follow your wanderlust. Visit foxworldtravel.com or call 866-GO-FOX-GO to start your journey. Let's explore the world together.
Old National Bank.
I just got your home equity loan, and this feeling of joy and exhilaration overcame me.
Yeah, it's a phenomenon we call getting old.
Wow, so I'm not the only one?
No, small business owners feel it with expansion loans. Families feel it when they're setting up trusts and 529s. Nonprofits who need financing to help the community. And anyone who needs investment advice. They all feel it.
So it's not just me?
No, you're in a pretty big club.
Like a club I can join?
I really don't.
Is there at least a secret handshake?
Old National Bank, where relationships and results matter. Old National. Get old. Member FDIC.
With Rhino Shield ceramic coating, never paint your house again. Rhino Shield will keep 100% of the rain and 90% of the heat from penetrating your house. And it looks just like paint, but will last 5 times longer, and it's guaranteed for 25 years. Rhino Shield comes in any color. Get started today at rhinoshieldwis.com.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
People across Wisconsin are enjoying the rewards, stability, and flexibility of a career in healthcare. Why not you? Wish Caregiver Careers can get you started as a certified direct care professional. You'll learn the skills you need to make life better for older adults or people with a disability. All training is free and online. Plus, earn $500 in bonuses. Start your new career. Sign up today at WisCaregiverCDCP.com. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Yeah, a number of people are saying, hey, Jeff, what about that curfew? You know, you got 15-year-olds. You know, what about curfew? Are we going to give tickets to the parents for the kids being out? Well, okay. You know, we talk tough about the curfew, but every time we request, how many tickets have actually been written for curfew violations? You end up getting crickets. It's just, again, it's a lot of sound and fury. It signifies nothing. Samantha, did you hear about the racist cow at the Wisconsin State Fair? Oh, yeah. Okay. So here is the deal. All right, I'm going to, I guess, send you to the internet if you're curious as to what this particular word is. Here's the story. You know, kids enter animals at the state fair. You got prize-winning pigs, you got prize-winning steers, you got prize-winning all these different rabbits. You know, they've got all that. And so there's this cow which is entered into competitions. The cow is at the state fair. The cow is at the state fair for several days. And, you know, when you go through the cow barn, the names of the cows are up there. The cow wins an award. Okay, nobody says anything. All right, it's been there for days and days. Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people have walked by, and nobody has said anything about the name of this cow. So the other day, one guy is walking by, and on Thursday, guy from Pewaukee, he says, we're walking through the dairy barn, enjoying ourselves, and came across a nameplate, and we were kind of taken aback. He snapped a photo showing the cow had a racially offensive term for a name. And then, of course, because this is 2023, the guy then decides, I'm going to go to social media with this, and I'm going to publicize this, and then you get community activists that are involved. Now, by this time, the cow, which had been there for like a week, that the cow is gone. The story of this, but then State Fair is falling all over itself to apologize for this. We can't believe this happened. The family, and it was like a little 10-year-old girl that they're apologizing. The name itself has nothing to do with race at all. It was just, the name was the combination of the father of the cow and the mother of the cow, and they kind of put their names together, and they got this. Now, I understand it's tough to talk about this because people go, what is the name? What is the name? I'll direct you to the internet if you want to find it, because I don't want to get called into meetings. But this is a term. Now, Samantha, just nod your head. Had you even ever heard that term? You said no, right? Exactly. And I would have if I didn't want to get called into an HR meeting. I work with all sorts of people who are in their 20s. I would have asked about whether anybody had heard this term, because here's the bottom line. If you are under the age of 60, you have probably never heard this term. If you are over the age of 60, you have probably never used this term. But I concede that you might have had a racist old aunt who got a couple drinks in her at Thanksgiving and might have used this term. This is a term which it was outdated before I was born. And I understand that doesn't change the fact. It's a term that is not used and hasn't been used for a long time. And I'm not condoning it. I'm simply saying that this is one of the situations where, first of all, I think it's interesting that you had people walking by this, tens of thousands of people, thousands of people at least, and the cow's name is printed in brochures, and nobody recognized that, 75, 100 years ago, this was a derogatory term. Now, that's important to me because it tells me that there's no intent here, and most people don't even realize this. And I feel bad because we've identified the family that owned this cow, and there's implications. All these people must have been racist. I have no doubt that they had no clue at all because, like I say, most people, if you're under the age of 60, you have no clue. You've never even heard this particular word before. But it is interesting to me that thousands and thousands of people walk by. Nobody seems to think that there's anything wrong here. And I guess it's a good thing because nobody even recognized that as a racially offensive sort of term. But now this is a big story in the Sunday newspaper. This is Channel 12 leads with this story about the name of the offensive cow. Well, the bottom line is they've now changed the name of the cow. And so hopefully people can move on. But for everybody who thinks the family was racist or the state fair was racist or things like that, or why didn't people catch it, it's because, like I say, unless you're over 60, for sure, I don't think anybody ever heard this term, which is so incredibly antiquated. So to me, okay, is it the right thing to do to change the name of the cow? Absolutely. Is this an example of, there's racism on dairy farms and things like that? Nope. This is a 10-year-old girl who apparently thought that this was kind of a cute name without any clue at all of the history of it. And in her defense, I don't think, like I say, anybody under the age of 60 would have had any clue at all that this was a derogatory term. And I apologize because I'm not even going to suggest what this word is, because then again I get called into meetings. But it's an antiquated, old-fashioned racial slur that was a racial slur that, like I say, maybe your aunt after a couple drinks would say it in 1950, but I don't think anybody's really used this term for probably the last 60 or 70 years. So I'm willing to cut both the state fair and the family, the farm family, I'm willing to cut them a break. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Hey, boaters! This is Dave Dorrell from Kendor Marine. And hey, boaters love shopping here. How do I know? Well, most times it's because they tell me, Dave, I love shopping here. But other times it's because they tell you. If you need a reason to come here, just check out our online reviews. They tell the whole story. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water. Hey, boaters!
At Kendor Marine, we have everything you could want, think of, or wish for your boat. We're committed to making sure you always have a place to fulfill every boating need that you have. And if you ask around, you'll find out our prices always beat the other guys. This is Dave Dorrell from Kendor Marine. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
Hi, folks. This is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. Now that the festivals are coming to an end, the BBC Lighting Festival lasts all year long. Visit our huge award-winning showroom and see all the newest lights and ceiling fans from all the top designers. We sell every major brand and our prices are the lowest. I guarantee it. You can see more of our lights at the NBA Parade of Homes, which runs through September 4th. There's something for everyone at BBC, including lampshades, repairs, and our famous free popcorn. BBC is open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and on Saturday from 10 to 4. We're located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue, across from Sobelman's and Bachman Furniture, all near the Potawatomi Casino. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
Annex Wealth Management. Investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning from a fee-only fiduciary. Forget commission sales pitches and financial products you don't need. Know the difference. Annex provides elite, comprehensive financial planning customized to who you are and what you need. AnnexWealth.com.
Does your knee pain keep getting worse? How about that pain in your shoulder or hip or back? Well, don't let them tell you steroids and surgery are your only option. Take my advice now and call QC Kinetics. Hey, it's Greg Matzik. QC Kinetics can make that pain go away with all natural advanced regenerative medicine. They're helping people here in Milwaukee every day with these amazing natural treatments that restore and repair damaged joint tissue. It's like turning back the clock. Regenerative medicine uses concentrated healing agents from your own body to stimulate that damaged tissue in your joints so they can work like they're supposed to. And there's zero downtime. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in this exciting medical breakthrough, and patients here are getting real lasting relief and saying no to surgery and drugs. If you have pain due to injury or arthritis, this is a remarkable option that you need to check out, and the consultation is free. Call QC Kinetics now at 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Okay, example number 2 of a really, really slow news day. And I've got a link to this story. If you follow me on Twitter, it's at Jeff Wagner 620. This is the latest exclusive breaking story from the Journal Sentinel's reporter Dan Weiss. Supreme Court Justice Rebecca Bradley has been quietly editing her own Wikipedia page. You'd think members of the state Supreme Court would have too little time on their hands to worry about the contents of their Wikipedia pages. But conservative firebrand Rebecca Bradley isn't like most other Supreme Court justices. Then it goes on to expose how somebody in Tampa has been like focusing on Justice Bradley's Wikipedia page and seeing that, hey, it's been altered, and it's been altered by somebody, using this website, and it might be her, it might be her initials. Okay. Like I say, this is a really, really slow news day. So, if you have a Wikipedia page and people are putting stuff up there that is inaccurate, the fact that, you as a public figure decide that maybe you're going to go on and correct certain things that are inaccurate on your Wikipedia page, that's somehow something that you shouldn't do or you should be embarrassed by or is beneath you. I guess this is another one where the point kind of escapes me. If you're a public figure and there's people putting up incorrect, false information about you on social media, is Dan Weiss's theory that, if you're Supreme Court Justice, you should just kind of let it go? I wonder if that would be the same tact that he would take if he had a Wikipedia page. I don't know if he is or not. And people were posting false or inaccurate or incorrect information on his. Oh, you just kind of let this go. To me, I guess I don't understand why this is a story one way or the other. But candidly, I don't understand why a lot of stuff that gets reported in the local newspaper is a story either, other than the fact that you've got to fill space, and oftentimes it's just a slow news day. Stop the presses. Supreme Court Justice Rebecca Bradley has been quietly editing her own Wikipedia page, correcting stuff that is posted in error. Oh, the horrors. Back with lots more after the top of the hour news. Please stick around.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ. Analyzing the best of the diamond from every degree. Brewers 360. Your comprehensive look at all things Brewers, on and off the field.
Swing and a drive to right and deep. Get up!
Hear from Brewers reporters, announcers, and members of the front office every morning on Wisconsin's Morning News at 7:45. It's Brewers 360, presented by Holiday Automotive and Outdoor Living Unlimited.
Hey, it's 620 WTMJ's Brian D. from my guy, Dr. James Michaels and Oconomowoc Dental Care. Well, it doesn't feel like it, but back to school is right around the corner. The time to go to the dentist is not in September, it's right now. Get those teeth for yourself, your kids, your family, all tuned up and ready to rock for the school year with my guy, Dr. James Michaels at Oconomowoc Dental Care. Whether it's a simple cleaning and exam, a more complex dental procedure, a teeth whitening, an implant, Dr. Michaels and the team at Oconomowoc Dental Care will always make you as comfortable as possible while you're in the chair and give both you and your family an amazing smile. At Oconomowoc Dental Care, affordable quality dentistry is no longer a dream, it is the reality. Dr. Michaels' fantastic staff can help you out with a no-interest payment plan. We all have to go to the dentist, so don't put it off any longer. Get it done before the end of the summer. Go see my guy, Dr. James Michaels at Oconomowoc Dental Care. Call his friendly and caring staff today and make an appointment with my guy, Dr. Michaels.
I already have a will. Won't that keep me out of probate? Hi, I'm Kim Steinbrenner with Steinbrenner Financial Group and your Dave Ramsey SmartVestor Pro. Tune in to the Dave Ramsey program weeknights at 9 o'clock or visit steinbrennergroup.com to learn more.
Leap and a net will appear. I love that statement.
Ben and Arvid from Penny Mustard Furnishings.
What it means to me is just do something. And whatever you do, as long as you keep working at it, it will come through. It may not exactly turn out the way you dreamt it, but God has a plan for you. When Ben and I packed up at 19 years old and 21 years old to come to Milwaukee and open our furniture store, I don't think there was anybody that told us it was a good idea. Again, we leaped and kept working, and the net appeared, and it's all been good.
PennyMustard.com.
Sometimes saying, I've got a guy, isn't convenient when you need a lot of different people for different needs. A roof guy, paint guy, interior remodel guy, J&J Contractors do it all. With top-of-the-line quality craftsmanship that's all custom or semi-custom.
In addition to full interior remodels, J&J Contractors' skilled and certified team members use high-quality materials for all of your exterior needs. Roofing, siding, windows, and gutters. Contact them today to schedule a consultation. Just Google J&J Contractors.
Interested in a career change with purpose and have a passion for giving back to the community? Choose a fulfilling career that helps other individuals, small businesses, and local nonprofits. Ritz-Holman is a privately owned CPA firm looking for talented CPA professionals who are dedicated to being an active, vibrant member of the Southeast Wisconsin community. Ritz-Holman maintains a genuine interest in each one of their clients and team members. Join the Ritz-Holman team and learn more at ritzholman.com.
Debbie Lazaga here. I've been wanting to shade in my backyard for years, and now that dream is coming true thanks to my friends at Comfort Awnings, located in Burlington. It's a local family-owned company that provides expert installation servicing Southeast Wisconsin and Northern Illinois. They came out to my house and walked me through the whole process, from different colors and fabrics, custom fit to my home's exterior and backyard. Right now, you can receive $200 off awnings and screens until the end of August. Call 414-AWNINGS for a free estimate or visit comfortawnings.com.
The place you want to go, Lynch McWanago.
Nobody sells for less than Lynch.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Your hometown hub for everything that matters. The latest news, traffic, weather, and sports on Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
101, we have 65 degrees and rain. Showers and storms today, heavy rain at times. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. A 17-year-old boy is dead, 9 others hurt after the driver of an alleged stolen vehicle crashed into another car during a police chase on the city's northwest side. TMJ4's Mary Jo Olo is on the scene where the crash occurred near 68th and Silver Spring.
That 2-car crash happened just before 11:30. Last night, MPD says officers tried to stop a stolen car that was tied to a recent armed robbery. They started trying to pull that car over near 51st and Hampton, which is about 40.5 miles away from here. Police say during the pursuit, the stolen car slammed into another driver at 68th and Silver Spring. 8 people inside of the stolen car were hurt. They're all between 15 and 18 years old. 2 women inside of the car that was hit were also injured.
Police have not identified the teenager who was killed. Rain just keeps on falling. Some areas of Dodge County have already had 2 inches. Areas west of Madison have seen 3. A flood warning in effect until 11 p.m. Storm Team 4's Brendan Johnson has more on what that warning means.
Basically means that there is a chance for flash flooding across the area. We could get some heavy rain at times, which could be a little bit too much for either the ground to soak in, or we're looking at a lot of runoff in some of our urban areas. So concrete in the city of Milwaukee, Waukesha, really anywhere across southern Wisconsin, it's not going to soak in. It's going to run off.
We'll have the complete WTMJ 5-day forecast coming up. President Biden may pay a visit to wildfire-ravaged Hawaii.
When asked if he planned to travel to Maui to survey wildfire damage, the president telling reporters, quote, "We're looking at it." It comes after he signed a federal disaster declaration last week, freeing up funds for the island. The FEMA administrator also on the ground in Hawaii on Friday, along with a surge of federal resources, including FEMA urban search and rescue teams and cadaver dog crews from California and Washington. Jay O'Brien, ABC News, the White House.
6 white former Mississippi law enforcement officers pleaded guilty to state charges of torturing 2 black men in a racist assault back in January. Prosecutors say some of the Rankin County officers involved nicknamed themselves the Goon Squad because of their willingness to use excessive force and cover it up. According to court documents, the 6 officers entered a Braxton home without a warrant and began brutalizing the 2 victims with stun guns and waterboarding. One of them was shot in the mouth. One of their attorneys, Trent Walker, says while the guilty plea is an important step, he hopes the state continues to ferret out any other members of the squad.
We would certainly hope that they continue to investigate the Goon Squad and
other outstanding claims that may exist against these officers as well as other officers.
The 6 officers will be sentenced in their federal criminal case in November. Another swim across Lake Michigan was called off last weekend.
After swimming 12 miles in 13 hours Saturday, 49-year-old Brian Huffman of Holland, Michigan, ended his swim across the Great Lake. After telling the Detroit Free Press his support boat lost its steering and he was cold, battling a lake current. Huffman's try was the second such attempt to cross Lake Michigan in a month, after Jim Dreyer began a swim at Bradford Beach August 1st, but had to stop after 12 miles due to poor weather conditions. Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is down 27 points, S&P 500 up 15 this hour, and the NASDAQ Composite is up 95. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button today. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 104.
I'm coming.
Hi, Mark Tauscher. Tausch, you have mosquitoes in here.
It's like an insect zoo right now at my house. Here comes that wasp again. Incoming.
Shoo, you need Pella's 250 series of windows with exclusive hidden screens, protecting you from nature.
Yes, please. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin to the rescue.
Get a 250 series patio door and 8 double-hung windows with hidden screens as low as $188 per month. PellaWI.com. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 8/31/23.
This message is for the person who always gets asked to make the plans, the person others always go to for restaurant recommendations. Next time, you're the one expected to plan the next team outing or girls' night out. Let Milwaukee or Chicago Food and City Tours make those plans for you. Don't worry, you can still take the credit, but we'll handle the planning and make sure that everyone, including you, has a delicious time. You set the date, we'll handle the rest at MilwaukeeFoodTours.com or ChicagoFoodTours.com.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus.
Know any good jokes?
Sure. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Sorry, Hasselus Mattress is employee-free, so nobody's here to answer the door.
No employees?
Try and buy with no pushy sales guy.
Are you joking?
Plus, through Monday, get a $200 MasterCard Rewards gift card with the purchase of a Beautyrest, Sealy Posturepedic, or Serta Perfect Sleeper.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Sorry, not home. I'm at Hasselus Mattress.
Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hasselus.com.
Vince Vitrano here for Connect Chiropractic. I've had chiropractic care on and off my entire adult life. I can tell you Dr. Alex and his team at Connect Chiropractic do it different. No twisting, no cracking, no popping. At Connect Chiropractic, they use a special tool for adjustments focused on restoring nerve and muscle function. It's not just making your neck and back feel better, although mine already do. Connect Chiropractic can help with headaches, sciatica, vertigo, and more. Schedule an appointment now at GoConnectChiro.com. Tell them Vinny sent you. GoConnectChiro.com.
WTMJ Sports Update.
Freddie Peralta tossed 6 scoreless innings, and the Brewers' offense poured in 7 runs as they go on to complete the 3-game sweep of the Chicago White Sox. This one by a final score of 7-3. With the victory and a loss by both Chicago and Cincinnati, the Brewers now leading the NL Central Division by 3.5 games. The Brew Crew with an off day today as they will begin a 3-game series with the LA Dodgers on Tuesday night. The Packers are back at practice later this morning, where NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell is expected to visit after awarding the team the NFL Draft for 2025. And lastly, staying with the NFL, former Wisconsin Badger and All-Pro running back Jonathan Taylor, who remains at odds with the Indianapolis Colts over his contract, is expected to return to training camp later this week. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads with your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. Some of those earlier delays on 43 between the Market Interchange and Brown Deer Road, both northbound and southbound, have worked themselves out, so they're about typical drive times right now, running about 11 minutes. The only possible delay right now, I-94 eastbound from Highway 16 to the Zoo Interchange, usually about an 11-minute drive, just a couple of minutes of delays there this afternoon. Your WTMJ 5-day forecast, showers and storms, heavy rain at times. High today of only 70. Those showers continue overnight, cloudy, breezy, low 64. Rain should end early tomorrow. Then it'll be sunny with a high 76. Sunny Wednesday, 84. Chance of rain returns on Thursday with a high of 82. And then sunshine on Friday with a high again around 82 degrees. Right now, Madison 66, Green Bay 63, rain and 65 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 108.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back to the show. Samantha producing this show today, and always Okay, write this down. It's Wagner's Rule of Life, number 8. This is your takeaway from the day. Hope is not a strategy. Let me say it again. Hope is not a strategy. Let me give you an example. Let us say, all right, we're halfway through August. At the end of August, maybe, first of the month, September 1st rolls around, and you've got a rent payment that is due and a car payment that's due and utility payments that are due. Okay, that is, you got to figure out where the money is you're going to come from. Well, okay, maybe your plan is, gee, I'm gonna buy a Powerball ticket this week, or I'm gonna play the Mega Millions, and I hope I win. Okay, that's great. You hope you win. And if you win, go with God. That's great. But hoping you win the Powerball is not a strategy to figure out how you're going to, pay your rent for next month, right? Hope is not a strategy. I never mean to squash people's hope. You can always hope for the best. You can pray for the best. But hope and prayer is not a strategy when it comes to dealing with things. Let me give you a classic example of that is playing out in Milwaukee. And it's playing out in 3 stories that appear in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel going back over a period of 4 years. Now, when my parents first moved here, and I was like 9 or 10 years old, we moved. I grew up in Glendale, Wisconsin. At the time, Sears was really where America shops. And there were Sears stores that were all over. I lived in Glendale. There was a big Sears store that was at Bayshore Shopping Center, now Bayshore Town Center. There were Sears stores that were there was one in Brookfield. There was one in Mayfair. Later on, there was one at Southridge. So there were Sears stores that were all over. But the big Sears store, the one that if your local Sears store didn't have it, the Sears store that you went to was on North Avenue, 2100 West North Avenue. And if you remember, now I'm taking you back to the 1960s. It was this, my recollection is it occupied like an entire city block, and it was like 6 or 7 stores. This is where, like I say, if you wanted to go to Sears and they didn't have it in the suburban stores, you went to the store on North Avenue because that's the place that had it. Well, times change over the years. The Sears store closed. 2100 West North Avenue, if we are honest, it is a neighborhood that I would describe as being challenged by economic issues, challenged by crime issues. It is the last place, check that. It's not the last place. It's one of the last places that somebody would invest their own money into building a luxury hotel. It's just not, that the neighborhood is not conducive to that. That's just the reality. So let's go back. I have the story from, let's go back to 2019, August 16th, 2019. And by the way, this does, I always say I hate to say I told you so, but I don't, because I have been talking about this for the last 4 years. I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. So you will remember the plant, this is 21st and North. This is the old Sears store. It is one of the last places that you would put a boutique hotel up. All right, here's the story from Tom Dakin, August 16th, 2019. I do the research so you don't have to. A boutique hotel proposed for Milwaukee's North Side could receive up to $9 million in city financing, building much of its business case on hosting events involving the African-American community. Developer Kaylin Haywood, this is 1919, plans to convert a former Sears store at 2100 West North Avenue into an 80-room hotel. It would also include a restaurant and bar in the lobby, a rooftop lounge, co-working, and retail space on the 3-story building's street level. Haywood also plans to build an adjacent conference center with 24,600 square feet of banquet space. Conference center is a key part. The story goes on. The hotel and conference center, to be known collectively as One Milwaukee Plaza, would cost, okay, now wait for this. This is where it gets interesting, $36.2 million to develop. The project is to be completed by the end of 2022. End of 2022. Now, this is back in 2019. The Department of City Development initially estimated the project would have an assessed value of $3.6 million. Okay, let's back up. The developer, they say that the cost is going to be $36.2 million. The city says the value would be $3.6 million. The city says it's going to be $3.6 million. The developer says it's going to be $36 million to develop. Okay, if I'm a private investor, the city says it's going to be worth $3.6 million. Yeah, I'm going to put $20 million into a project because, again, this is not a spot that you would build a boutique luxury hotel. That's just the reality. You could hope that it would succeed. I understand it. You hope, you want it to succeed because this is a neighborhood that's challenged economically. It's challenged by crime. You hope it's going to succeed. But again, private investors, it's your own money. You're not going to do it. Okay, so then they complain about that. The city changes the value to $10.6 million. Okay, they say $10.6 million, but it's still well below what the cost is going to be. So, all right, this goes on and on and on. So this is in 19. In May, the council voted, this is 2019, to approve a $4 million loan, all right, to the developer to help get this started. $4 million loan. There's a report from the city comptroller who says, well, yeah, if this ever happens, it would increase our tax base, but there's a significant risk that the city's not going to recover its investment. Also, the developer hasn't lined up the project's private financing. Okay, so despite the fact that there's all these red flags, and despite the fact that everybody knows that this is not a spot where a luxury hotel is going to succeed, you could hope it would succeed, and I understand it's good intentions. You hope it could succeed, but it's just not realistic. And that's why you don't have private developers that are putting money into this. But that doesn't stop the city. The city says, okay, we'll give you a $4 million loan. Okay, so that's 2019. The loan, now keep in mind, the building was supposed to be finished in 2022. The loan was supposed to start repaying the loan in 2021. Okay, all right, so what has happened? All right, so September of 2021 rolls around, and they're supposed to start making payments on this. Well, okay, the project is really not off the ground, so what happens is the city says, okay, we'll kick this back. We'll give you until September of 2022 to start making payments on this, because the project, it's kind of like not going anywhere. So they delay it. So September of 2022 rolls around. I have in my hand a Journal Sentinel story from August 16th of 2022. Milwaukee developer Kalen Haywood is facing default on a $3.79 million city loan. He could be getting one more year to begin paying it off. So then it talks about how they had to start repaying it. It was originally in 2021, and then in September of 2022, okay, it's due again. They don't have the money. It's not going, this project is essentially not going anywhere. So what happens is, because this is, again, I'm looking at the story from 2022, however, Haywood since then, since he got the continuance from September of 21st to September of 22nd, of 2022, hasn't secured additional financing like private loans or cash from investors to move the project forward. Why? Because, again, hope is not a strategy. The people that are expected to come up with and put their money in it are going, look, I understand this would be a wonderful thing if we could make it work, but nobody thinks it's going to work. So they can't make the payments in September of 2022. So what happens is the city wades in and the city says, okay, we'll give you another year's extension. So, all right, let's flash forward to August 11th, 2023. I have in my hands the story written by the same reporter. Developer of planned Milwaukee hotel could be getting a third city loan extension. The developer of a planned Milwaukee hotel would have the deadline for a city loan extended for a third time under the new proposal. Kalen Haywood Sr. is facing a September, that would be September of this year, deadline to begin repaying the $3.79 million used to pursue the planned convention of the historic former Sears store. Under the latest plan, they would have until September of 2024 to begin making the payments. That proposal marks the third time Haywood is asked to extend the loan's deadline. It was previously extended to September 22 and again in September of 2023. The loan to be paid off over 15 years received approval back in 2019. All right. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and being surprised that the results aren't different. Now, I appreciate the problem the city is in. The city, having made a really, really, really bad loan because they hoped this would all work out. So they give in $4 million. I assume most of that $4 million has been spent. This is based on the hope that the developer is going to be able to find people that are going to give him the money that'll carry through the project, and it's essentially not going anywhere. They hoped it would work out. So then what happens is you're supposed to start making loan payments in September of 2021, and it doesn't work. 2022, 2023, and I don't really get the sense that the project is any closer to developing than it was a few years ago. I mean, I understand the bind the city is in because the only choice is you either keep hoping that the developer is going to, lightning is going to strike and he's going to find some private investor that's willing to put in money. You keep hoping that that's going to happen, or you just declare the loan in default and then you foreclose and then the city has that particular property. And that's not a desirable alternative. But this is one, and it goes back to, I told you so. There were a lot of us at the time in 2019 that realized this project never made any economic sense, including the city comptroller. But you had, at the time, the mayor, Tom Barrett, you had members of the Common Council who hoped it would work. They wanted to see it work. They thought, hey, this would be great for that particular area of the city if we could make it work. So let's take $4 million of taxpayer money. And even though we know that there is very little chance that we're ever going to see a dime of it again, let's throw this out there because we hope it would work. Note to moving forward, to elected officials, to government bureaucrats, hope is not a strategy. And this is Exhibit 1. It would be great if it would work. Nobody thinks it's going to work. And the bottom line is, yes, you can extend the loan for a year. And my guess is next summer, we're going to see a similar story that's been written by Tom Dakin, if he's still at the newspaper, saying, okay, now this is the fourth extension, because my guess is August of 2024 is going to roll around and there's not going to be any significant progress made on this because it was never destined to succeed. They hoped it would work out, but hope is not a strategy. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Hi, it's Brian Noonan from WTMJ Nights. I've got some big news. Starting now, you can download WTMJ Nights wherever you get your podcasts. That's right, you can enjoy our nighttime fun anytime you want. Find WTMJ Nights on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Local news, national stories, random silliness. You'll get a bit of everything on WTMJ Nights. So join me, Brian Noonan, weeknights from 6 to 9 here on WTMJ, the WTMJ mobile app, or wherever you get your podcasts. WTMJ Nights. Listen whenever and wherever you want.
This is WTMJ's Jeff Wagner here to tell you about Built Right Furniture's Labor Day mattress sale. You can shop the most unique selection with over 60 models and 500 mattresses in stock. Built Right's one location always saves you money. Let's hear from one of their customers. It's Benny S. from Milwaukee, and he says, hey, look, my wife and I were very satisfied with our mattress and box spring purchase, from the salesperson to the hassle-free decision to purchase. Thank you, Benny, for your kind words. And now is a great time to shop Built Right. And with their legitimate sale prices, you will get an exceptional value and you'll get a great night's sleep. Built Right specializes in flippable two-sided mattresses and heavy-duty mattresses that hold up to 600 pounds. Plus, they offer free delivery and removal on mattress-only purchases of $5.99 or more. Voted best place to shop and winner of the Home Furnishings Association's 2023 Retailer of the Year Award. They're open Monday through Saturday. They open at 10, they close at 6, and Sunday they close to be with family. When you get there, do yourself a favor. Do me a favor, too, because they love to hear this. Tell them WTMJ's Jeff Wagner sent you to locally and family-owned Built Right, 5430 West Layton Avenue in Greenfield, just off I-894.
Hi folks, Cindy Storm Fisher and Julie Coombs here at Storm Fisher Investment Group with just one question. Are you happy with how your investments are growing? We've been helping people just like you for over 40 years, and we'd be happy to help you.
We have no agenda, no quotas to meet, and great relationships are our business. If you're looking for an advisory relationship like you've never had before, call us. Let's see if it's a great fit. Storm Fisher Investment Group, online at stormfisher.com.
See you soon.
Securities offered through Securities America Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Arbor Point Advisors LLC. Storm Fisher, Arbor Point, and Securities America are separate entities.
Doesn't it seem like you never have anything to wear? That's why I shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. Whether it's a designer top, jeans, an adorable skirt, or cute accessories, I always seem to find something I like. And at prices I love. Gently used women's clothing and accessories for far less than you thought possible. At St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Jeff, I was born and raised in Milwaukee, and anyone familiar with the area of 21st and North Avenue would never consider putting a luxury hotel there, period. Like you said, hoping this would work out is facetious. Wisdom tells us otherwise. I would, by the way, add reality tells us otherwise. Hard to believe the leadership in the city of Milwaukee is spending taxpayer dollars without any wisdom as to where those dollars should be used for the most benefits for their citizens. Come on, Milwaukee, let's hold these people responsible. Look, and again, I understand the motivation here. Okay, we've got an economically depressed area of the city. This is great. We're going to build a boutique hotel that's going to charge $125 a night, and we're going to have a convention center attached, and we're going to generate, I had the numbers here, but we're going to generate all this revenue from food and beverage and things like that. Okay, nobody, the evidence that people realized it would not work is the fact that nobody in the private sector has been willing to come forward and, pony the money. Jeff, once this deal officially falls apart, will Mr. Hayward be required to show us what he actually did with the millions of city tax dollars? Very, very interesting question. How much of the money went to, they say, well, some of it went to demolition and things like that. How much of it went to fees and things like that? Yeah, I assume we'll find that out at some point in time. But the bottom line is the taxpayers are out of this. And you knew all along it was going to be a bad deal. Nobody thought that this was going to work. Jeff, it's no wonder the city is running out of money. I think that's pretty much it. Jeff, why on earth would the city be the first one to dole out money before private monies came to the project? What a throwaway. It's Lisa in Mequon. Yeah, that's a very, very good question. All right, it's one thing to say, hey, we want some city participation in this, but why would the city be the ones that front this? You would think that the developer would go in and say, hey, I've got this great idea, and this is what I'm going to do, and I need some contributions to get it over the top. But no, the city puts up the money before anybody else is there. Jeff, I've actually seen this work in other challenged cities, including Atlanta, but only if everything from the former Sears site to the Fiserv were bulldozed, crime eradicated, and then new ancillary development would extend downtown by about a mile. But we know that's not going to happen anytime soon. Right, that's the point of all this. And again, and then one of our texters says, they wonder why Madison doesn't trust Milwaukee to prudently use revenue sharing and sales tax proceeds. That's it. Look, getting into the hotel business is iffy. One of the examples, the Iron Horse Hotel, by the Harley Museum, I don't know if people have been paying attention to that. That's in bankruptcy. And the plan is hopefully, from their perspective, the plan is to auction that off. The story from Channel 4, to avoid a foreclosure, the owners went into bankruptcy, and now the plan is, I think that opened in 2008, has 100 rooms. That was appraised at $26 million. If the Iron Horse can't make it, okay, why at that location by Harley and stuff, as kind of a boutique hotel as well, if they can't make it, why would anybody think that this particular location on 21st and North is going to make it? And the answer is nobody does, except the city still gave them millions of dollars. Unbelievable. And I told you so. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Now batting for the Brewers Radio Network, play-by-play announcer Lane Grindle.
It does sound like a totally freak thing. But we've seen that at times over the years, different injuries that have popped up. The best bat in Major League Baseball, one of the very few elite arms. He's in a very rare class when it comes to that. It's going to be entertaining over the next couple of weeks. I'm interested to see what the Brewers do.
Lane Grindle joins Wisconsin's Afternoon News every Monday during the Brewers' 2023 campaign. Payne.
Acunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368. This is Chief Home Buying Strategist Brian Wickert. A lot of home shoppers just go with their bank when it comes to getting their pre-approval and financing their new home. That's exactly what Jordan and Michelle did, and it wasn't until after they wrote their 5th losing offer that they took their agent's advice and called Acunet for a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval and offer strategy consultation. Every time you write an offer and lose, it's an emotional punch to the gut because you've already imagined having Thanksgiving dinner at that house. We're helping home shoppers and their agents write stronger, more convincing offers every day with powerful tools and strategies that really work. If you don't mind writing 5 losing offers, go ahead and get a flimsy generic pre-approval from your bank or credit union. But if you want the best shot at writing an offer that gets accepted, get a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval from Acunet, and I'll personally join in on your offer strategy consultation like I did for Jordan and Michelle, whose very next offer was a winner. All you got to do to get started is click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
Back to school time is here, and Griffin's Back to School Service Special is here to help. For only $129.95, we'll change your oil, inspect and rotate your tires, check the battery and air filter, and give it a complete multi-point inspection. Plus, we'll make sure your AC is running smoothly and replace your wiper blades. Griffin, making car maintenance easy. Visit one of Griffin's 5 dealerships today.
Let's face it, selling a home is stressful, difficult, and costly. The repairs, the showing your home to strangers, the months it takes to get to closing. And then what do you do with the 20 years of belongings you've accumulated? There's an easier way, and you have nothing to lose to try it out. Grandview Homes will give you a no-obligation, fair cash offer and close on the day you choose. We buy your home completely as is, no repairs whatsoever. Take the belongings you want and leave the stress and the mess to us. Call or visit grandviewhomes.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
So very glad to have you with us. Samantha, I must have come back from State Fair feisty. You know, it's one of these days, these stories, but that's okay. The show is good when the host is feisty. You know, somebody was saying, "Do you have a bad weekend?" No, I had a great weekend. I played golf on Sunday, and it was one of those times where it's what alcoholics call a moment of clarity, where all of a sudden, like, everything you're doing works. It's like the lowest score that I have posted in like 3 years. When I go to post it on the handicap thing, I fully expected the computer program to say, "You're kidding." But it was one of those where I'm hitting the ball great and I'm making putts and things like that. So now I'm like, okay, all right, we can give up the job and go for the senior tour. No, that's not going to necessarily work. But I was just in an absolutely ecstatic mood. And then you kind of look at the stories of the day. All right. I was mentioning this to Sandy and Brian when we were doing the crossover. It seems to me that, and I understand there's some degree of exaggeration to this, but it seems to me that every time I'm driving around the area and I see new construction, like on a corner or something, we're building something, I swear to God, it seems like it's a Walgreens, a CVS, or a bank. We're within where I live, within a mile, there are, I am not exaggerating, okay, a mile and a half, there are at least 9 separate banks. I'm not exaggerating. There's all these different, banks. And I keep wondering, and then if you would expand that out to like 2.5 or 3 miles, I have no idea how many more banks there are. You've got just all these different banks, and they're just going up one after another. And I remember, about a year ago, I was having dinner with a guy. I just met him, but he was an executive at one of the big local banks. One of the big banks that operates locally. It wasn't necessarily a locally owned bank. But I said, what's with all these banks? And he said, well, actually, our strategy is part of this. They're like billboards. They're like advertising as much as anything. We put them up there because it keeps people's, it keeps our name in front of people. It's kind of like radio advertising or TV advertising or whatever. You see the bank that's there. And he said, actually part of our strategy, it's just kind of like real estate. We take this valuable real estate, you get it, so you get the billboard effect. And then, ultimately at some point in time, if we close the branch bank and we sell it, we think we'll be able to make money on the real estate, which made, I guess, made sense to me that there might be a value beyond just the banks. Now, what got me started about this is story, local newspaper, Associated Bank in November will close branches in Alloway, Chicago, and Milwaukee as it adjusts to less foot traffic and customers' increasing preference for digital banking. Green Bay-based Associated will close 5 Wisconsin branches and 1 branch in Illinois on November 17th. This is the 3rd year in a row that the bank has closed branches in response to industry-wide trends. Associated will have closed 30 branches in the last 3 years. Once those branches close, the bank will have 196 locations left. It closed 7 branches in fall of 2021, including several Green Bay locations. They closed 13 branches in the fall of 2022 in Wisconsin and Illinois. 5 of the 6 Wisconsin branches that closed in 22 were located in grocery stores. So you get the idea that they're closing various branches because the foot traffic isn't sufficient to justify this. Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. Is this going to be a trend moving forward? You know, it's amazing to me because I think banks are just grossly overbuilt. I mean, think about when is the last time you physically went into a bank? My producer Samantha is shaking her head. You can't remember. You don't even have a checking. You got a checking account. You don't have a checkbook. You don't write checks. I got it. So I mean, I will tell you the last time, I have physically been into a bank 2 times in the last year. One time was a year ago when I went in because I needed to get euros, and so I needed to get euros, so I needed to do that transaction. The other time was a couple weeks ago where I needed to add my wife's name to an account. So we had to go in and do that. But other than that, I don't go into banks. I mean, I don't remember the last time. I mean, occasionally I'll go through the drive-through if I'm going to deposit a check. I understand you can do that online too. But otherwise, I'm not in the banks. I mean, I'm not. I'll go to the ATM and I'll take out some cash, and a lot of people don't even deal with cash anymore. I'm kind of a dinosaur with that. But, I mean, do we need physical banks, or do we need as many physical banks anymore? 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Is there really, and again, the guy I was talking to when I had dinner a while ago, he said, well, you know, we think it's important to have the standalone, to have the banks that are there so we can keep our name in front of the public, even if, like, nobody comes in and uses them. Well, okay, how important is a physical bank nowadays? And how important is it to have one of your banks, I don't know, right down the street from where you live? 855-616-1620. Again, for me, the number of times I have been in a bank. Oh, there was one other time where I made a deposit at a drive-through window. I told that story, and they screwed it up. They put it into the wrong account, so I had to physically go in and work that through. But other than those occasions, I never go into banks. Do you physically go into banks anymore? Do we need physical banks? At least do we need as many of them? 855-616-1620. We discuss in a moment.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
It's outdoor living time. Make the most of it this year. Let Outdoor Living Unlimited transform your space into your outdoor living dream. A deck, a patio, pergola, fire pit, maybe even an outdoor kitchen. Outdoor Living Unlimited is a local, family-owned company that consults, designs, and builds these things. We live for summer around here. Make the most of it with help from Outdoor Living Unlimited. See OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
Is your paycheck not going as far as it used to? You'll make good money at John Deere Horicon Works. Full-time factory workers at John Deere Horicon Works start at $23 to $25 per hour plus health insurance with no premiums and annual wage increases. Potential bonuses, $1,000 sign-on bonuses, and more at John Deere Horicon Works. So if you're tired of that small paycheck, move up to the big time at John Deere Horicon. Apply now at Deere.com/Horicon. That's Deere.com/Horicon.
Arvid, what's with all the caution tape?
No idea, Nicole. Step back from the table.
Ben, what's going on?
I'm warning people not to look at the Sandra table from Penny Mustard. Why? Because this table is not for the faint of heart.
Well, the Sandra is far from ordinary.
But it is extraordinary.
There's something about the way natural light reflects off the iron to give it a one-of-a-kind look.
If you prefer the appearance of a traditional dining room table, do not seek out the Sandra table in our showroom.
Ben.
And should you choose to search for the Sandra table on pennymustard.com, we are not responsible for feelings of shock, awe, confusion, surprise, bewilderment, speechlessness, flabbergastedness, and or ennui.
Wow.
You've been warned.
Come see the uncommonly awesome Sandra table, starting at $30.94, paired with sophisticrafted Stewart chairs for just $3.65 each, only at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Associated Bank announced that they're closing a bunch of branches, 6 branches in Milwaukee and Green Bay, 1 in Chicago. And we went through this period, and I mean, again, it's anecdotal, but it seems like every time I see new construction, it's a bank. It's this bank or that bank. And I'm not suggesting that we don't need banks, but I find myself wondering, do you need as many branch banks? Now, like I said, I was talking to a bank executive, and he said, well, part of it is just it's the real estate, and part of it is it's advertising. We feel that even if people aren't coming in, we need to have that presence there. So, if we want to be marketing ourselves to people who live in Elm Grove, it's important when they drive through Elm Grove that they see that there's a bank there, even if one of our branches there, even if people aren't actually going into the bank, which is, to me, kind of an interesting business model. And again, a half dozen times, I can't believe that I've been in a bank more than a half dozen times in the last couple of years. I just don't. And I'm kind of a dinosaur because I still write checks from time to time and actually physically deposit stuff at drive-thrus. But actually going in, is it a loss if these banks end up closing? 855-616-1620. And do we need the construction? I mean, how many banks do you need to build? Let's talk to Joe in Wauwatosa. Joe, you're on WTMJ.
Hey there, how you doing this rainy day?
Good. What do you think?
So I'm amazed. I was just telling your screener that it seems that every summer there are 2 more banks built on Highway 100 in Wauwatosa and West Dallas. We see it all the time, and I'm baffled by why you would need to build banks when you could do such a greater online presence, mailers, etc., with that kind of money. I get it that they want to be seen, but oftentimes these are not new names that are being built. They're just more branches of the same bank. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for the call. And again, it's not. I'm not suggesting that you don't need the banks. It's the physical presence of that, because my guess is the vast majority of people, do everything online. After you've opened up your account. Matter of fact, I think you can even open up all sorts of accounts now and do that kind of stuff, online as well. Don't hold me to that, because I don't remember the last time I opened up a particular account. And I'm not against those physical banks. But when I saw this story, Associated Bank, closing these different branches, my guess is that very, very few people will miss them. I mean, they still have lots of branches out there. So if you want to physically walk into an Associated Bank, okay, you drive, an extra mile or 2 or whatever. But I'm really trying to be future oriented here and wondering, is the future going to continue to be the brick and mortar, banks? Jeff, I'm still old school. I go to the bank every Friday, more branches and nice during road construction. It's hard to get out of the bank now with all the road construction. Jeff, I don't have a cash card, so I go to the bank for cash and checking account. What's funny is that everyone at the bank knows me by name, and they seem to light up seeing a person come in. I seldom see anyone else in the bank. Right, and I guess that's my point. And I understand that there's going to be people, and I also suspect that it's probably, as so many things are now, it's probably a generational thing. My 20-something-year-old producer Samantha, what is this bank thing that you talk about, Jeff? I don't walk into that. Versus people in their 40s versus people in their 60s versus people in their 80s. And my guess is, older people, just like, who is it that reads newspapers nowadays? Well, I don't think there's anybody under the age of 60 or maybe 65 that, other than a couple, maybe the Wall Street Journal and, maybe the New York Times, anybody under at whatever that age is, whether it's 55 or 60 or 65, they don't read hard copies of newspapers anymore. And I think it's the same thing. It's the same thing that has to do with banks. Jeff, the only ones I hear actually going into banks anymore are bank robbers. But I'm bum. No doubt about it. Jeff, I'm sitting in my car in a bank parking lot right now. However, it's for my business. We still take in a lot of cash. So probably, here 1 week for business. Personal banking, not so much. Jeff, don't take away banks. What would I do with my big jar of coins? I'm a true dinosaur. Well, yeah, the problem, though, with that is, and we've done bits on this, the problem is a lot of the banks won't even take your coins anymore. You have to find certain banks. A lot of them have just decided that doing change is too much. Jeff, I'm old school. I like having a physical bank building in my neighborhood. We have a safety deposit box inside the bank, although I only go there twice a year for that. I wouldn't mind smaller banks, but I still want customer service options available at an actual bank. See, I think the future, and you're starting to see this, is I think it's going to be much smaller physical layouts. You're going to have a drive-through, and then you'll have, very, very few employees in any sort of given bank. James on the South Side. James, you're on WTMJ.
Jeff, I guess you stole my thunder on all the different points on that, but I think you guys are trying to push us into what do you want to call the word drive-through for food, pharmacy, banks, everything these days, like you've done with cashless society, and it's all going, backfiring in people's faces and stuff like that. I think we still need them. I don't think we need as many banks or that in the various areas. Probably your 9 banks there. Maybe you should go to all 9 of them and say you're Jeff Wagner, and maybe you can start a account in each one of them and tell them your radio personality on the radio there, and they'll all be happy to have Jeff Wagner there.
I think that. Well, James, forget the autograph. They'd all be happy maybe to have a new depositor or something like that. And look, people are misunderstanding. I'm not anti-bank. I'm not. I'm not that. I'm always interested in the trends and where the culture leads us. And I guess I'm not surprised by the story that Associated Bank is closing branches. I think branch banks were grossly overbuilt over the years. And I think the lack beyond their billboard effect, here it's commercial advertising, and beyond the value of the land, as far as actually needing banks to physically go in, I think it's going the way of the dinosaur. Will there be some banks physically that people walk in? Yeah, absolutely. But will there be as many? No way. And you're starting to see that in Associated Bank, because that's what they're saying. They still got a lot of branches. They still have around 200 branch banks. So it's not like they're going out of business, but they're starting to close the ones because they're realizing it doesn't make any economic sense because there's not the foot traffic to generate keeping all these neighborhood banks open. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Welcome back to Ask Hassellus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
I'm a numerologist. What's your favorite number?
48. Because right now at Hassellus Mattress, you get 48 months interest-free financing on our 3 most popular Tempur-Pedic mattresses.
The number 48 is associated with stability.
Like the stability and comfort of Tempur-Pedic.
Abundance.
Like the abundance of sleep you'll enjoy with a Tempur-Pedic mattress from Hassellus.
Prosperity and wealth.
Because you get a $300 MasterCard Rewards gift card with your select Tempur-Pedic purchase.
The number 48 is a sign that you have chosen the right path in life.
Just like you can choose your favorite Tempur-Pedic mattress at Hassellus without commission-hungry salespeople breathing down your neck.
Really?
Yes.
Do you deliver?
Free next-day delivery.
I think 48 may be my favorite number, too.
Enjoy 48 months interest-free financing on select Tempur-Pedic at Hassellus Mattress. Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at hassellus.com.
It's not a gimmick. It's simply comprehensive, fee-only financial planning to get all your arrows pointed in the right direction. And although rate of return is important, there are many factors that are equally, if not more important. There's a strong belief among financial experts that tax planning is more important than rate of return. And at Financial Strategies, we strongly believe that is what sets us apart. As a result of our strategies, our clients have saved significantly on their taxes. They were prepared to pay the taxes and elated when we shared how they could avoid them. We want to grow your investment and protect it, and we've proven to be very good at doing just that. I'm Jim Cantrell with Financial Strategies, Inc., and we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to financialstrategiesinc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
Roofing and exterior work are really tough jobs, and at Semperfi, we're proud of our people. And when you work with great people, you deliver great results.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semperfi.
I love the Fox and Hounds. WTMJ's John Mercure here. The historic restaurant was recently voted the best supper club in the area. That's right. Opened first in 1933, it's been serving fabulous dinners for almost 90 years in their beautiful rustic timber structure. When you buy one dinner, your second dinner is free 7 days a week. How about this? Enjoy a world-class steak, seafood, pasta, big fresh salad, even steak and lobster, anything on the menu. Your second dinner is free. And made-from-scratch desserts, too, and I love those. Add a Manhattan, an old-fashioned. Choose from over 100 wines to accent your dinner. The Fox and Hounds is family-owned and one of the most unique, affordable supper clubs in Wisconsin. Your second dinner is always free. Just off Highway 167, 2 miles east and in the shadows of the beautiful Holy Hill Shrine. The summer drive is spectacular. You got to check it out. Brighten up your Monday and Tuesday with a free dinner tonight. Reserve at foxandhoundsrestaurant.com. It'll lift your spirits. It's the award-winning, the best supper club in the area. It's the Fox and Hounds.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
If you follow me on Twitter, now I keep saying that, and now I see, I really, honest to goodness, don't know what we're supposed to call it, because now the phrase I see is, they've got it called X formerly known as Twitter, kind of like the artist formerly known as Prince and that stuff. That's way too complicated. So if they want to name it something else and people then know what this is, I'm more than glad to do it. But until that point, if you follow me on Twitter, it's at Jeff Wagner 620. I have a posting. It's one of these, the headline, I mean, my comment was, stuff like this is why we can't have nice things and won't be able to until we start putting thieves in jail. We have talked a lot on this program about the increase in shoplifting and how that the inability of stores to deal with this, because the judicial system and the police and the DAs and the judicial system won't deal with it, how it's causing stores to close down, like the Walmart on 103rd and Silver Spring. Then all the politicians get their undies in the bundle and say, well, we need this for the neighborhood. Well, okay, maybe you should have been concerned about the crime that caused them to close. Or alternatively, you have these stores now that are locking everything up. The story I'm going to talk about, I've got CNN up here. It's on CNN right now as well. But it's just the amount of shoplifting and the amount of organized, flash mob shoplifting is just staggering. I've got a link to the USA Today story about this, but there's a more detailed one in the LA Times. Nordstrom's. Saturday afternoon, Nordstrom's in Canoga Park, which is kind of like the Los Angeles area. Here's what they say. An estimated 30 to 50 people, and if you want to see a video of it, again, I've got a link to it on Twitter at Jeff Wagner 620. An estimated 30 to 50 people participated in a brazen daytime robbery at the Nordstrom's in this shopping center. Police said dozens of suspects, including men and women, show up at the store. They used bear spray and left in cars whose license plates had been removed. A shopper on the store posted a video of the chaos, capturing pillaged clothing racks, broken glass from display counters, and a mannequin lying in the floor near the entrance. Hooded figures carrying and dragging multiple bags dash among debris as the clothing sensor tags sound in the background. Police estimated losses to be between $60,000 and $100,000. My guess is that that's light. A similar incident took place at Yves Saint Laurent store in Glendale, California, when 30 to 40 people stormed the store, getting away in about 20 vehicles with about $300,000 worth of merchandise. $300,000. On August 1st, the Gucci store at the Westfield Century City Mall was also hit by at least 9 people. So, I mean, this is it. This is flurry of these, what they call flash mob thefts that have been taking place. And this is the new thing. Here, we're just going to get 30, 40, 50 people. We're going to bum rush the store. We're going to go in with our hoodies and our masks. We have all these cars where the license plates have been removed, and we're going to loot the store, and then we're going to drive away because we know that if we do that, the chances of us getting caught are slim to none. And even if we do get caught, nothing is going to happen to us. This is why we cannot have nice things. And until we decide to make this a priority, to recognize that stuff like this is not a victimless crime, oh, the stores have insurance and stuff like that, this is going to continue to go on. It is a trend that is going to be spreading and spreading, and we got to get a handle on it. Because, you know, we're starting to see a society that completely and totally breaks down. And this is a prime example of it. How much of this are we willing to take? And my answer would be, well, we shouldn't be willing to take this. But apparently we are. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Brewers fans, it's me, Dom Cotroneo, host of Brewers Extra Innings, here to tell you that you can now catch Brewers Extra Innings wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, and of course, WTMJ.com and the WTMJ mobile app. Every stat, every storyline, and of course, highlights from the games this season following the Brewers all year long. Catch Brewers Extra Innings, presented by Fifth Third Bank, right here on the home of the Brewers, WTMJ.
Hey, it's 620 WTMJ's Brian D. from my guy, Dr. James Michaels and Oconomowoc Dental Care. Well, it doesn't feel like it, but back to school is right around the corner. The time to go to the dentist is not in September, it's right now. Get those teeth for yourself, your kids, your family, all tuned up and ready to rock for the school year with my guy, Dr. James Michaels at Oconomowoc Dental Care. Whether it's a simple cleaning and exam, a more complex dental procedure, a teeth whitening, an implant, Dr. Michaels and the team at Oconomowoc Dental Care will always make you as comfortable as possible while you're in the chair and give both you and your family an amazing smile. At Oconomowoc Dental Care, affordable quality dentistry is no longer a dream, it is the reality. Dr. Michaels' fantastic staff can help you out with a no-interest payment plan. We all have to go to the dentist, so don't put it off any longer. Get it done before the end of the summer. Go see my guy, Dr. James Michaels at Oconomowoc Dental Care. Call his friendly and caring staff today and make an appointment with my guy, Dr. Michaels.
Gillette Intimate gives guys a gentle and easy shave. Don't treat yourself like junk. Respect it with Gillette Intimate, the best a man can get. Buy now at a retailer near you.
Do you need to rent a bus for a corporate outing, baseball game, or a wedding? Milwaukee Bus Rentals has a bus for you. You may have seen our lime green buses driving through town. Now we have a fleet of black buses too. The rides are perfect for bachelorette parties, wedding shuttles, trips to the ballpark, and corporate outings. Milwaukee Bus Rentals can even plan a tour of Milwaukee to add to your bus rental if you'd like. The wheels on our buses do in fact go round and round all through the town. Book yours at MilwaukeeBusRentals.com.
Interested in a career change with purpose and have a passion for giving back to the community? Choose a fulfilling career that helps other individuals, small businesses, and local nonprofits. Ritz Holman is a privately owned CPA firm looking for talented CPA professionals who are dedicated to being an active, vibrant member of the Southeast Wisconsin community. Ritz Holman maintains a genuine interest in each one of their clients and team members. Join the Ritz Holman team and learn more at ritzholman.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
I am so pleased to have you with us on a rainy Monday afternoon. Coming up in the 2 o'clock hour of the program, I want to revisit something we talked about during the week last week when we were at State Fair. It's a decision that I continue to consider to be mind-blowing. And then I want to double back on something that I mentioned and alluded to earlier in the program at the start of the show. It's a thought that was generated by something a listener sent me. We're going to do visual aids once again. Then I'm going to open up the phone lines because I am going to ask a question. and I'd like your input on it that comes from the visual aids. So stick around. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368. This is Chief Home Buying Strategist Brian Wickert. A lot of home shoppers just go with their bank when it comes to getting their pre-approval and financing their new home. That's exactly what Jordan and Michelle did, and it wasn't until after they wrote their 5th losing offer that they took their agent's advice and called Accunet for a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval and offer strategy consultation. Every time you write an offer and lose, it's an emotional punch to the gut because you've already imagined having Thanksgiving dinner at that house. We're helping home shoppers and their agents write stronger, more convincing offers every day with powerful tools and strategies that really work. If you don't mind writing 5 losing offers, go ahead and get a flimsy generic pre-approval from your bank or credit union. But if you want the best shot at writing an offer that gets accepted, get a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval from Accunet, and I'll personally join in on your offer strategy consultation like I did for Jordan and Michelle, whose very next offer was a winner. All you got to do to get started is click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
The place to get caught up, to speak out, to connect and be entertained. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
Good afternoon, 2 o'clock. We have heavy rain and 65. That rain's going to continue this afternoon, reaching for a high today of 70. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. It has been a rainy Monday, several inches of rain falling in some areas. Storm Team 4's Brendan Johnson.
Dodge County, we've had the radar estimating anywhere between about 1 to as much as 2 inches of rainfall. But that steady rain continues all across southeastern Wisconsin, and we've got a flood watch, which will continue through late tonight until about 11 o'clock.
Brendan says some areas west of Madison have gotten more than 3 inches. We'll have your full 5-day forecast, WTMJ forecast, coming up in less than 10 minutes. 17-year-old boy is dead. 9 others hurt after a driver of an alleged stolen vehicle crashed into another car during a police chase on the city's northwest side. TMJ4's Mary Jo Ola is on the scene where the crash occurred near 68th and Silver Spring.
That 2-car crash happened just before 11:30. Last night, MPD says officers tried to stop a stolen car that was tied to a recent armed robbery. They started trying to pull that car over near 51st and Hampton, which is about 4.5 miles away from here. Police say during the pursuit, the stolen car slammed into another driver at 68th and Silver Spring. 8 people inside of the stolen car were hurt. They're all between 15 and 18 years old. 2 women inside of the car that was hit were also injured.
Police have yet to identify the teenager who was killed. People of Plum, Pennsylvania, are going to hold a prayer vigil for those who died in a weekend house explosion. Jenny Collier with Holy Family Parish says several of the victims and neighbors were parishioners, and the town has been in a state of shock since Saturday's blast.
The community is absolutely gutted, heartbroken. We decided to do this to show our love and support for all of our friends and family here in Plum.
5 people were killed and 1 is in critical condition. The death toll from the Maui wildfire now close to 100. Search and recovery efforts continue in the burned-out resort town of Lahaina, where 2,700 homes and buildings were destroyed. It's the nation's deadliest fire in more than a century. The Georgia DA is presenting an election interference case against former President Donald Trump to a grand jury today. ABC's John Santucci has more on the Trump legal team's preparations ahead of a potential indictment.
This is the case that they're actually, from my sources, the most prepared for. And here's the reason. They've been dealing with this DA longer than anything else. You know, the special counsel's only been around for better part of a year. We know what's happened in New York has been something that they've been knowing was possible. But this case, the special grand jury, more people going in, there has been such direct dialogue.
Trump today launched a series of attacks against Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis on social media, arguing he did not interfere in the election. If he's indicted, it will be his 4th indictment. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell in Green Bay today discussing Titletown's plan to host the 2025 NFL Draft. Goodell credits Packers president Mark Murphy for his work behind the scenes.
There's no one who's a greater supporter of this community and all it can do. So, Murph, congratulations to you and your team for what you've done.
Discover Green Bay expects more than 200,000 visitors to attend events surrounding the draft. It should bring an estimated $94 million to the state. Drivers may notice a pink traffic jam during the afternoon rush.
The pop artist Pink is playing AmFam Field tonight, and the Brewers are reminding drivers to prepare for possible congestion on the interstate in and around the stadium. President of Business Operations Rick Schlesinger says 45,000 Pink fans are expected.
The show will be fantastic, but yeah, it'll be a little busy in the traffic afternoon, but I know people will get in and want to make it a great experience for everybody.
And of course, there's rain as well. Parking lots open at 3:30. The Brewers urging everyone to purchase parking tickets online. Eric Bilstead, WTMJ News.
Time for news about your money. In the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update, the Dow is down now 40 points. The S&P 500 is up 14, and the NASDAQ Composite is up 99. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button today. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 2:04.
This report sponsored by Mr. Holland's Heating and Air Conditioning. Visit MrHollandsHeatingandAir.com.
Things we've learned when the power goes out. You forgot to click save on that report you're typing. Ice cream melts faster than you realize. And a bathroom with no windows is a dark and lonely place. That's why letting Mr. Holland's Home Services install a brand new backup home generator is such an enlightening experience. Our Power Pros hardwire your new whole house generator directly into your home's electrical system. This fully automatic unit features rapid start technology, powering on and off as needed in the blink of an eye, to add some spark when your neighbor's lights go dark. Keep the refrigerator fridging, the lights lighting, and the television televisioning. And if you already own a generator, Mr. Holland's crew is also authorized to service most brands. Call Mr. Holland's Home Services to schedule the installation of your backup home generator. 866-992-1717. Or visit MrHollandsHomeservices.com. If your power has lost its luster, we can help.
I've been living with a snoring problem nearly my entire life. In fact, I can remember my mother teasing me, saying that I'd snore so loudly that the walls of our house would cave in with each breath.
Fast forward only recently, when Jessica's snoring forced her husband out of their bed and into another room. It's a pretty common situation. We call it a sleep divorce, and that's not good. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula with Advent. After Jessica had a thorough breathing triangle evaluation, we found that her snoring problem required a simple solution. In-office balloon sinuplasty. It's a 20-minute procedure, and it works. You won't find it offered by Big Box Healthcare, but you will find it at Advent, where we offer every effective snoring and sleep apnea solution available. You can hear more of Jessica's story at adventknowsjessica.com and take your first step towards breathing well so you can live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
Freddie Peralta tossed 6 scoreless innings, and the Brewers' offense poured in 7 runs as they go on to complete the 3-game sweep of the Chicago White Sox, this one by a final score of 7-3. With the victory and a loss by both Chicago and Cincinnati, the Brewers now leading the NL Central Division by 3.5 games. The Brew Crew with an off day today as they will begin a 3-game series with the LA Dodgers on Tuesday night. The Packers are back at practice later this morning, where NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell is expected to visit after awarding the team the NFL Draft for 2025. And lastly, staying with the NFL, former Wisconsin Badger and All-Pro running back Jonathan Taylor, who remains at odds with the Indianapolis Colts over his contract, is expected to return to training camp later this week. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads with your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. We do have a few problems out there right now. I-41 south, about a half mile beyond the ramp from County Line Road. The right shoulder is blocked due to a crash. There's some slowing in that area. Normally about a 14-minute drive. It's going to take you about 24 minutes. I-94 eastbound from Highway 16 to the Zoo Interchange. Add about another couple of minutes drive time to that stretch. I-41 northbound from the Zoo Interchange to Highway Q. 14 minutes usually. That's going to take you about 17. 43 southbound from Brown Deer Road to downtown. Normally about an 11-minute drive. There's some construction in the area. That's about a 16-minute drive this afternoon. Your WTMJ 5-day forecast expects showers, heavy showers possible, storms this afternoon, a high of only 70 today, scattered showers overnight with a low 64. The rain should end early tomorrow, then becoming sunny with a high 76. Sunny on Wednesday, 84. Chance for rain and storms Thursday, a high of 82. And Friday, mostly sunny with a high of 82. Right now, Madison 70 degrees, Green Bay 63, Milwaukee 65 and rain. I'm Connie Weber, Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 208.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back to the show. Okay, I want to revisit something we started the program with, and this is, it's kind of my little Easter egg for people who choose to watch us. Look, if you're listening to us, that's the way most people take this in, and I really appreciate it. But we have all these cameras up, and if you want to watch, you can go to YouTube and put in WTMJ, and we live stream it, or just go to WTMJ.com and click the Watch Live button. And I know a number of you do. Well, anyhow, we were at State Fair last week, and got back, there was this package, and my producer was going, gosh, there's this package that's been sitting here, and we're wondering what's in it. And I said, well, you could have opened it up. No, it's addressed to you. Well, it turned out to be a listener who sent me a couple newspapers from the 1970s. And the reason the listener sent me that was to make the point of, look at it. Remember how big newspapers used to be and how much content there used to be and all that sort of stuff. And I was displaying them. And one of them here, I've got this up here right now. This is the one that caught my attention. Thursday, August 19th, 1976. It was right after the Republican National Convention in 1976. And this was, look, nowadays, by the time political conventions come around, the races are pretty much decided, right? This might have been the last time that there was any real doubt as to who might be the nominee when the convention came around. But this was when Gerald Ford, who had taken over for Richard Nixon after Richard Nixon had resigned, Ford was running for election as president. He was being challenged by Ronald Reagan. Reagan, I don't recall if he was still the governor of California or not. I'm thinking not, but I could be wrong there. But anyhow, this was before Reagan became president and the start of the Reagan conservatives and things like that, the Reagan Revolution. Well, Gerald Ford, headline, wins by 1,187 to 1,070. Very, very close. Very, very hard-fought campaign. But then the story here, and it's got a picture on the front page. Here's Ronald Reagan shaking hands with Gerald Ford, because what it says happened was right after the convention had decided, it's after midnight, Jerry Ford goes over to the Reagan headquarters. Reagan meets him. They shake hands. They get this great picture that's there. Then they have a unity meeting the following morning where, Reagan is, it's not a surprise at all if you knew President Reagan. He's incredibly gracious, where he starts talking about how, look, my congratulations to you. It was a good fight. It was a good fight, Mom, and he won. It's just an incredibly gracious thing to do. And this, graciousness is something that's kind of a lost art nowadays. You don't see this. Okay, so this is 1976. So, do the math. It's, 47 years ago. I threw this out as a thought. A number of people actually responded to me. So I want to open up the phone lines. All right, is there any chance at all that next August, after the Republican convention meets in Milwaukee, is there any chance at all that you will see all the candidates come together and unite and have the handshakes and the backslapping like they did in 1976 after Ford and Reagan had this very, very contested thing? Can we expect graciousness from the various challengers, or is that a lost cause? And if Donald Trump, and I guess this is where I'm really going, if Donald Trump doesn't win the nomination, what are the chances, with 0 being never going to happen and 10 being, of course he's going to be standing on the stage shaking the hand of Ron DeSantis or Tim Scott or Nikki Haley or Chris Christie? What are the chances that Donald Trump will accept defeat gracefully if, in fact, he loses? 855-616-1620. All right. A year from now, if Trump is not the nominee, will we see a picture like we saw on the front page of the Toledo Blade on August 19th, 1976? Just wondering. 855-616-1620. What do you think the odds are? We discuss in just a moment.
Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
Come on, homie, we major. We major?
No, he's Major. Major Garrett, that is.
Russia and its calculus behind what it thought it would achieve in Ukraine has almost, if not totally, unraveled.
CBS News' chief Washington correspondent joins Wisconsin's Afternoon News every Tuesday at 3:45.
Now he's going to have to face this indictment and go through a criminal judicial process. It's a heavy day for the entire country.
Right here on Wisconsin's radio station, News Radio WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ's Jeff Wagner for the Froedtert and the Medical College of Wisconsin's Health Network. Heart failure is a serious condition that develops when the heart can no longer pump well enough to fulfill our body's needs. We've discussed the risks and the symptoms and lots more with Dr. Nunzio Gaglianello. Just a great doctor, an advanced heart failure and transplant cardiologist with the Froedtert and the Medical College of Wisconsin's Health Network. That was during our last Everyday Health conversation. Listen to that discussion and all our previous Everyday Health discussions simply by visiting the features drop-down menu at WTMJ.com.
Our house needs a lot of work. That roof, siding.
J&J Contractors.
It's not just the outside. The bathroom needs to be completely redone.
J&J Contractors. They do it all with top-of-the-line quality craftsmanship that's all custom or semi-custom. J&J Contractors do full remodels of kitchens, baths, and basements. Your project manager is accessible to you the entire time, on-site or via their cell phone. No being passed from person to person. Visit their beautiful showroom in Greendale today. Just Google J&J Contractors.
Thrifters can spot great deals from a mile away. And here the term great deal is an understatement. The lowest prices on men's, women's, and children's clothing, toys, furniture, housewares, jewelry, and accessories, bikes, books, games, and more. And every time you're here, you'll find something new. So if you're thrifty, you'll find this place is pretty nifty. St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Stores, Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
Ooh, you're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Hi folks, Cindy Storm Fisher and Julie Coombs here at Storm Fisher Investment Group with just one question. Are you happy with how your investments are growing? We've been helping people just like you for over 40 years, and we'd be happy to help you.
We have no agenda, no quotas to meet, and great relationships are our business. If you're looking for an advisory relationship like you've never had before, call us. Let's see if it's a great fit. Storm Fisher Investment Group, online at stormfisher.com.
See you soon.
Securities offered through Securities America Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Arbor Point Advisors LLC. Storm Fisher, Arbor Point, and Securities America are separate entities.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Here's one of the lessons of history. Ronald Reagan, who was kind of viewed as an outsider, in 1976, he mounts what was kind of viewed as an insurgent bid to try to win the Republican nomination. After all, Gerald Ford was the sitting president. He hadn't been elected president, but he was the president. Reagan, and it was a very, very hard-fought sort of battle. I remember that. But after Reagan lost, and yes, Reagan lost, it was close. So what's the first thing he did? He reached out. He was gracious. He conceded. And what that did, for people who remember history, is it positioned Ronald Reagan to be the presumptive Republican nominee in 1980 by being gracious in defeat, saying, look, I'm going to come together, I'm going to shake hands, I'm going to support it. He set himself up to be elected president. Now, let's contrast that. I've said this before, and it's one of the, I guess it's not a surprise, but it's one of the various tragic flaws of Donald Trump. I fully believe that after he lost in November of 2020, and yes, he lost in November of 2020, if he could have been the least bit gracious, if he could have conceded defeat, and then simply said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Joe Biden won, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to Georgia and I'm going to campaign for those two Republican senators who are running in the runoff election, and I'm going to, work on, building the Republican Party. If he would have done that, and you hadn't had all the, election stolen foolishness, and you hadn't had then January 6th, which all came out of that, if none of that would have happened, Donald Trump would be the leading candidate, not just for the Republican nominee. he would be a shoo-in to be reelected president in 2024. But the fact that he couldn't do it, which then led to all the criminal charges and all those sorts of things, and I think, in my opinion at least, and I know some of you disagree, but you're wrong, has made him unelectable in 2024. But if he could have followed the example of Reagan in 76 and just been a little bit gracious, he wouldn't even have to have been a lot gracious, just a little bit gracious, it would set you up. But because, you have people that have the impulse control of fruit flies and can't just see the big picture, this is what you get. So, I mean, here's the reality. In 2024, assuming Donald Trump is still in the picture and assuming I am correct that he is not the ultimate Republican nominee for a variety of reasons, will he try to unite the MAGA, the Make America Great faction of the Republican Party or his supporters, or however you want to call it, with the more mainstream Republicans and say, okay, we got to unite. We got to get together to beat Joe Biden or whoever it is that's at the top of the ticket. I mean, what are the chances of that? Jeff, Trump will walk away alone, just like he departed alone on Biden's inauguration day. Yes. Jeff, people like to forget that Hillary Clinton conceded at 2 a.m. after election night. Yeah, she conceded. Jeff, if Trump rips the GOP apart after losing the nomination, I think it's because the GOP deserves it. You don't get to chain yourself to a rabid dog and then complain when it tears your throat out. Yes. Jeff, good comedy bit today. That's a zero, never going to happen. That would be gracious and conceding defeat. Not a chance. If Trump doesn't get the nomination, he will say it was a mistake or something else stupid. I wish we could get back to some respect in politics. That's why it was interesting that the listener sent me that particular newspaper because those days, just here, we're going to be gracious. You've just lost a closely contested battle. I'm going to go, Gerald Ford goes over to Ronald Reagan's headquarters and Ronald Reagan, hey, all right, it had to hurt. Losing these contests, especially when you come close, it had to hurt. But Reagan, by being gracious, positioned himself to become president 4 years later. Jeff, Trump never had or ever will have that kind of class. Well, there is an element of that. Jeff, the chances of graciousness, less than zero. Jeff, Donald Trump gracious? Never. However, I do feel the rest of the Republican candidates will be totally gracious. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You have, it depends on who the nominee is. You have some people like Chris Christie who are, campaigning as kind of the anti-Trump, and it's difficult to imagine them. It's difficult to imagine them supporting Trump. But the bottom line is this. I mean, this is a time. Jeff, if Trump does not win the Republican nomination, the vast majority of MAGA supporters will vote for the Republican candidate. We won't sit out. Well, I hope that's right. I hope that's right. Jeff, there isn't going to be any defeat. Jeff, did you see the Iowa State pictures of Trump in the crowds? The love for Trump is stronger than ever. That is the reality. If you're watching on our YouTube stream, this is my head getting ready to explode. I understand in certain segments, Donald Trump is of the political world. Donald Trump is popular. I understand that the fact that he's under indictment for various crimes doesn't deter some people at all. I get it. I continue, and I understand back in 2016, I was like most pundits, and I think Trump himself, I did not think he was going to win, and everything came together and he ended up winning. So I understand I was wrong in 2016. I think Donald Trump has no chance of winning in 2024. I think there's overwhelming evidence for that. If he's the Republican nominee, the Republicans will lose up and down the ballot. And that's why I'm hoping Republicans come to their sense. But I respect that there are some people who believe the love for Trump is stronger than ever. And that is the reality. There's just not enough of you out there to win an election. All right. But if you do win an election, I don't foresee graciousness coming. We're going to take a quick break. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
WTMJ Now with Steve and Sandy.
There are servants, literally in their job title, public servants. Do your damn job. That's all I'm asking. Whether the governor who just sat here, whether it's Robin Voss, Devin LeMahieu, any Democratic leader in the state, do your damn job. That's all I'm asking. I think it's a reasonable request. What do you think?
I think so.
Now that I'm up.
It's passionately presented, yet reasonable.
Weekdays from 9 to noon on 620 WTMJ.
Eric Smith here from Austin Plumbing. When you own a well pump, air spitting from the faucets, a decrease in fluctuating water pressure, along with silty, gritty, slimy changes in water quality, are all symptoms that your well pump isn't well. At Austin Plumbing, we're well-rounded plumbers. I say that because we're one of the few companies around who can capably diagnose and repair all the symptoms related to well pump and water system problems. You know when your car needs service, right? Maybe it makes unusual noises. It sputters, jerks, seems weak, or stops altogether. That goes for your well pump too. We have all the special equipment needed and the master know-how required to electronically pinpoint the exact cause of your well and water issues. And we'll give you a price up front before any work begins. If your well pump is telling you it's not well, let's nip small problems in the bud before you're out of water and in deep, expensive trouble. Told you we were well-rounded. Austin Plumbing. Online at teamaustin.com.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. You know, I played sports my entire life, been hurt a lot of times, but never had been injured until I had to stop doing the sports I enjoyed because my knee flat wouldn't allow it. I visited Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, where they took great care of me. I put my knee in their doctors' capable hands, and now I'm back in the gym, carrying my golf bag, pain-free for 18 holes, and playing tennis as often as I like with no issues. I'd recommend Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin to anyone. Visit orthowisconsin.com.
Interested in a career change with purpose and have a passion for giving back to the community? Choose a fulfilling career that helps other individuals, small businesses, and local nonprofits. Ritz Holman is a privately owned CPA firm looking for talented CPA professionals who are dedicated to being an active, vibrant member of the Southeast Wisconsin community. Ritz Holman maintains a genuine interest in each one of their clients and team members. Join the Ritz Holman team and learn more at ritzholman.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
It is the tyranny of the left. There's a group called Moms for Liberty, and Moms for Liberty is a group, and I understand if you're part of the left, it's this hate group. Okay, but Moms for Liberty is a group of it's conservatives, predominantly conservative women who get involved in school issues and things of the like. Now, they draw protests. For example, Moms for Liberty were going to have an event supposed to be at the St. Kate and then move to the Pfister. I believe that's not going to happen. The Milwaukee Teachers Education Association, any venue that decides to host Moms for Liberty will hear from the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association. So it's this effort to kind of shut down this group because how dare we have conservative thought that's out there? And so it's this group that's been, again, targeted by the left and their allies in the media. But the effort is we're going to try to censor them. We're going to try to shut them down. You want to host an event? Well, be prepared to be picketed and things like that. It is, again, the tyranny for the left. And here's the latest example of this. And candidly, if this is true, what's being reported, the Italian Community Center has some explaining to do. This is what is being reported on Wisconsin right now. Here's the deal. The Italian Community Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, is refusing to hold a Moms for Liberty town hall event at its venue that will be attended by former President Donald Trump on the morning of the first GOP debate, Wisconsin right now has exclusively learned. We're first to report that Trump has agreed to appear at the August 23rd event. It's not yet clear whether he's going to appear virtually or in person at the Giving Parents a Voice town hall. We first learned about this from a source and then confirmed the information directly from Moms for Liberty's national co-founder Tiffany Justice. So, okay, this is kind of a big deal. They're going to have the event at the Italian Community Center. Sandy Weinard, the president of the Italian Community Center, has said on Twitter that she believes Trump should be prosecuted and made other disparaging comments about Republicans. Let's see. In one post, this is Wisconsin right now saying, in one post she said GOP Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders was George Santos in drag. In another, she called Trump a bad hair huckster. I will confirm that we were excited to host the town hall in Wisconsin at the Italian Community Center. I myself am an Italian. I was excited, and they have apparently decided they don't want us there. Justice, that's the lady from the group, the national group, told Wisconsin Right Now in an exclusive interview. You have presidential candidates who are confirmed to come, including President Trump. She added, I just think it's very unfortunate. We've had successful town halls around the country in places like Michigan and Iowa. The Marriott was willing to host us at a previous event in Philadelphia. It's a slap in the face to candidates and to the parents of Milwaukee, et cetera, et cetera. They don't know whether Trump is going to be there in person or not. A source close to the process previously told Wisconsin Right Now that Moms for Liberty's town hall organizer had signed the contract and paid the deposit for the event after the Italian Community Center agreed to host it. The ICC suddenly canceled the contract on Saturday morning, August 12th. Justice confirmed the source's information. The ICC did not provide a reason other than that the facility could no longer accommodate the event, and they returned the deposit. The town hall will still occur, the source said. However, it's not clear where the event will be held, as organizers are looking for a new venue. We contacted the ICC and were told to write its PR office, which we did. We asked, why was the contract canceled? Why won't Italian Community Center rent to Moms for Liberty for the event? Who made the decision? Bartolotta Restaurants responded for the ICC saying, no agreement for an event on the morning of August 23rd at the ICC. There will not be an event for the Moms for Liberty at the Italian Community Center. However, this is Wisconsin Right Now says, they didn't answer our questions. It's funny how that is. So we wrote again. Yes, we are aware there is not an event now. However, ICC had agreed to host the Moms for Liberty event where Trump is appearing after the organizers signed a contract and sent the deposit. Why did the ICC refuse to host the event? What changed? Why will they not host the event? And at this point in time, I'm not sure they have any answer to that. So what you have is you have this effort that's out there by some very, very loud liberal activist groups, unions, etc., to try to shut down Moms for Liberty. The local newspaper is completely in bed with this particular process, and these groups are deciding, okay, well, these are hate groups, so we can't allow them to be there. At some point in time, you wonder when conservatives are going to start to push back on this and say, look, there is this thing about freedom of speech, and, we're supposed to, encourage an exchange of ideas. But this idea that we don't like what you're saying and we're going to label you a hate group and we're going to put pressure on people to not allow you to show up, it is censorship and it is tyranny in the extreme. And it's what goes on a daily basis nowadays. And I think the Italian Community Center has some explaining to do. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. Does your company feel a little out of sync? Or do you feel like your career path needs a little direction? You're not alone. At LAK Group, they've been helping people and companies get on the right track for the last 2 decades. They've been there, and they have a proven track record of improving company culture and helping people find meaningful career trajectories. LAK Group can help you discover your human advantage. Visit transformingcareers.com and find out more. LAK Group. Discover your human advantage.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex Arthritis Clinics are in-network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid, and there have been thousands of patients that have received our pain relief treatment with zero out-of-pocket expense. Our FDA-approved treatments we'll use to remedy your pain are precisely guided to its root, to provide inflammation and cushioning relief to alleviate pain. What ends up happening is you begin on a pain maintenance plan, and how committed you want to be to alleviating your pain is up to you. But at the least, you can see us semi-annually to annually to, in many cases, significantly reduce pain in hips, shoulders, elbows, and knees. I'm Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Pain Clinics. We can alleviate your pain, and that'll rejuvenate your life. It's pain relief, really. Go to Rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain. Rejuvenate your life.
Tune in on Sundays at 10 a.m. for the AccuNet Mortgage and Realty Show. Join AccuNet's Brian and David Wickert for the most up-to-date information on mortgage trends, along with timely news on the real estate market. The housing market is in flux, but the national headlines don't often fit local market conditions. Find out what's really happening on the front lines of real estate and mortgage financing in Wisconsin and make better decisions by tuning in every Sunday at 10 a.m. The AccuNet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian and David Wickert on WTMJ.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Yeah, I think people at the Italian Community Center have some explaining to do. All right, I want to revisit something we talked about last week because I got a huge response afterwards, and I thought I was willing to. I think it's an interesting conversation to have. There's always a problem when you have American citizens who are overseas who are grabbed by foreign governments, particularly rogue nations. And Iran would be a rogue nation. North Korea would be a rogue nation. Russia is becoming more and more of a rogue nation. So the problem happens is that what happens when these American citizens get grabbed? Now, you've got the mess with the military guy from Racine who went AWOL and went into North Korea, and he's being held. I don't know what you do with him. We don't have any treaties with North Korea, and that's a guy that went AWOL and ran over there. You had the situation in Russia that we've talked about at great length. You know, Brittany Griner, the WNBA player, she flies there on the eve of the invasion of Ukraine. She's got a small quantity of hashish oil in her luggage. She gets arrested. In a sane world, she would have either been deported or fined and deported. But instead, Russia, recognizing the opportunity it has, they grab her. She turns into a political prisoner. There's all this pressure. And ultimately, Joe Biden agrees to a prisoner swap where in exchange for her, we release a guy called the Merchant of Death. All right. But the problem is when you make those trades, it sets up a precedent, and these rogue nations begin to understand that, hey, if we grab Americans, we're going to be in a position to extort things out of them, which brings me to the Biden-Iran hostage deal that broke at the end of next week. I was talking about President Reagan earlier. If you are of a certain age, you might remember when the Reagan administration was caught trying to trade arms for hostages with Iran. Well, that seems to be precisely, at least a variation of what is going on with the Biden administration. Over the last several years, Iran has grabbed 5 Americans. Now, in some cases, it's Americans who have dual citizenship with Iran, but they've grabbed them. And are largely holding them on trumped up, no small t, trumped up charges. And in some cases, one guy's been in prison for 5 years at all. And they're holding them quite candidly with no sense of democracy, with no sense of justice. They're being held as political prisoners. So what was announced last week is that Iran has moved 4 of these 5 Americans to house arrest from this really nasty prison that they were held in. The 5th American was already under house arrest. Now, so why is Iran doing this? Iran is doing this because the Biden administration has cut this deal where there's $6 billion in frozen assets in an account in South Korea. This $6 billion is subject to sanctions. And what's going to happen is apparently the government, the U.S. government, has agreed to release the hold on this $6 billion and give it to Iran in exchange for releasing these 5 Americans. There might also be Iranian prisoners. These are Iranians who've been convicted of crimes that might have to get thrown into the deal. But the bottom line is it's $6 B as in billion in ransom, which is essentially paid. Now, before some of you Biden folks get too upset, some people say, well, it's not really ransom because it's not U.S. taxpayer dollars. It's dollars that are being frozen so that Iran can't get access to them. It's dollars that they would have been paid if there weren't for these sanctions. Well, there are these sanctions. So effectively, we are going to release $1.2 billion per hostage that is going to go to Iran. Now, the other thing is, well, they're going to run this through banks in Qatar. So the purpose is this $6 billion is going to be used for humanitarian efforts. Good luck with that. I mean, really, good luck with that. Once you release this money, the idea of Qatar, for example, saying, well, we've got this $6 billion. Iran says they want it. Well, we're going to make sure you spend it on humanitarian purposes instead of, funding Islamic extremists or whatever you're going to do. That's just completely pie in the sky sort of stuff. So in this rush to get the hostages, the political prisoners back, we're going to kick in. We're going to let this nation, this rogue nation, have $6 billion. Our number is 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Let's have a discussion of this. If you go ahead and do it, look, and everybody wants to get these political prisoners back. They are essentially being held as hostage. But if you pay a ransom, and that's what we are doing, haven't you just green-lighted allowing every one of these rogue nations to do everything they can to grab people with ties to America, knowing that they will be able to extort some sort of ransom? 855-616-1620. And it's not that I didn't want to get Brittany Griner back, but when you did that by turning loose the merchant of death, you just said, okay, for all the other people wrongfully detained in Russia, we know what the price of poker is. For this particular situation, for anybody that gets grabbed in Iran, if it's really $1.2 billion per hostage, and that's what they are, they're being held hostage. I mean, what is to stop any of these rogue nations in the future from simply saying, we're scooping up Americans right and left because we know we can extort something? And is that really the way to go? 855-616-1620, we discuss.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Hey, boaters!
This is Dave Doro from Kendor Marine. And if you're a boater and you haven't been here, ask around. And I think some of your boater buddies will tell you you're missing out. Because at Kendor Marine, we have everything you need but the water. And when you get here, you'll know that's no exaggeration. So get in the know, because boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water. Hey, boaters!
From fishing to water sports and everyday essentials like anchors and life jackets, along with an incredible selection of hardware, Kendor Marine is a boater's paradise. This is Dave Doro, and our endless selection of boating parts and accessories all but assure you one-stop shopping for all your boating needs. And that's why boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
Hi, it's John Reitz from Great Midwest Bank. At GMB, we give back by supporting local nonprofits, such as the Alzheimer's Association Wisconsin chapter. Did you know that the local professionals who work at banks are often some of the first people to recognize early signs of Alzheimer's and other dementia in their customers? This can include a customer appearing lost or confused, or showing unusual behaviors with their accounts. At Great Midwest Bank, we take our community responsibilities seriously. We're proud to be a dementia-friendly bank with training from the Waukesha Aging and Disability Resource Center. If we notice potential signs of dementia during a customer visit, we connect with customers and their loved ones. This fall, you can make a difference too. Sign up for the Walk to End Alzheimer's at alz.org/walk. Visit GreatMidwestBank.com to learn more about GMB's commitment to community and our Simply Giving mission.
Now's a great time to get signed up for your exterior work, like siding and windows. Why put it off? The lines are shorter, and we'll be ready to take on your next project.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi!
I love the Fox and Hounds. WTMJ's John Mercure here. The historic restaurant was recently voted the best supper club in the area. That's right. Opened first in 1933, it's been serving fabulous dinners for almost 90 years in their beautiful rustic timber structure. When you buy one dinner, your second dinner is free 7 days a week. How about this? Enjoy a world-class steak, seafood, pasta, big fresh salad, even steak and lobster, anything on the menu. Your second dinner is free. And made-from-scratch desserts, too, and I love those. Add a Manhattan, an old-fashioned. Choose from over 100 wines to accent your dinner. The Fox and Hounds is family-owned and one of the most unique, affordable supper clubs in Wisconsin. Your second dinner is always free. Just off Highway 167, 2 miles east and in the shadows of the beautiful Holy Hill Shrine. The summer drive is spectacular. You got to check it out. Brighten up your Monday and Tuesday with a free dinner tonight. Reserve at foxandhoundsrestaurant.com. It'll lift your spirits. It's the award-winning, the best supper club in the area. It's the Fox and Hounds.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Let's cut through this. What is effectively happening is that Joe Biden is paying Iran $6 billion. Now, I understand it's not money that comes out of the taxpayer's pocket, but it's money that Iran cannot get to. It is frozen because of sanctions. He is lifting that freeze. $6 billion will go to Iran in exchange for the release of 5 people who are essentially being held as hostages. That's $1.2 billion per hostage. And you know as sure as night follows day that once that money goes to Iran, we're going to use it for humanitarian purposes. It's going to be used for food or whatever. You have no way of knowing that. There's no controls over that. And my guess is it's just as likely that that's going to be used to, again, fund extremists and extremist actions all across the globe. But the bigger picture is, I thought we didn't negotiate with terrorists. I thought that was it, but now we are negotiating with terrorists, and we're making trades, whether it's Vladimir Putin, who, yes, has become a rogue nation, or whether it's the classic example of a rogue nation, which is that. What are we going to do to get the guy who went AWOL in North Korea back? Is that going to be $2 billion? Where do we stop? And by doing this, don't we simply encourage more of this type of behavior? And by the way, that's a rhetorical question because the answer is clearly yes. Mike in Illinois. Mike, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jeff. How are you?
I am well, thank you. What do you think?
Well, just like I remember you discussing the Brittany Griner case, and obviously that was a terrible deal, and all it did was open up what's happening now. And I would say this is even a worse deal because not only are you paying or giving Iran their money back, but then you're, swapping prisoners as well, not just prisoner for prisoner like in the Brittany Griner case, but money and prisoners. My guess is that he'll try to deal with North Korea and give them a nuclear warhead to get this AWOL soldier back.
Well, I sure hope so. Hope not, yeah.
Yeah. Biden is just showing his true colors with this. And, I could never vote for a president who puts the security of this country at risk like he's doing.
Thanks for the call. I guess, I understand. You want to bring these people back. But, the truth is, remember, back in the nuclear deal that Obama and John Kerry cut in 2015, where you had all sorts of cash that went to Iran. And what did they use the money for? Well, they used the money to, cause agitation. The Wall Street Journal describes it as spreading mayhem in the Middle East and beyond. Some of it, this is the Wall Street Journal, some of it will go to finance the Shiite militias in Iraq that have targeted and killed Americans. Some will likely go to build more drones and missiles that Iran is delivering to Russia to use against Ukraine. This is it. We are essentially funding Iran using its efforts to try to destabilize the rest of the world. Wall Street Journal, they just nail it in an editorial. The hostages deal would in effect finance Iranian aggression against the U.S. and its allies that the U.S. is currently spending billions of dollars to counter. Yes, there's no question about this, and it just encourages. Now, we've talked about this before. At this point in time, if you're an American citizen and you decide that you're going to travel to Iran, you're going to travel to Russia, I think at some point in time the message has to be you're kind of on your own because you really are, you're literally taking your life into your own hands by doing that. But we can't, I think, expect, the government to bail us out. Jeff, your analysis is, right on. Jeff, this started with Iran-Contra. Yeah, that's Reagan. That's 1987. That's the whole, arms for hostages deal. And it's been going on since then. And all the people on the left who were outraged about it in 1987, now because it's Uncle Joe, it's okay to do it. Well, it's not okay. Let's talk to Gianni in Montello. You're in WTMJ. Hello.
Yes. Good afternoon, Jeff. Listen, I think President Biden has just increased the bounty on American passport holders traveling abroad. And this is personal with me because my wife is from a country that I won't name it, but it makes me, this week it makes me a little bit more reluctant to travel to that country. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to be a little more cautious, and maybe we'll stay home. And as far as Qatar is concerned, Jeff, Qatar is our friend. We've my goodness, and the Saudis are our friends too. They wouldn't do anything to, jeopardize the security of the United States, would they?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Gianni. I sense the sarcasm there. Well, the point is, they're going to, once Iran gets the money, right? You think, okay, Iran's going to say, all right, now we have this money. We promised we're going to use this for food, but okay, so now we're going to finance these militias. And then what is the enforcement tool about it? I mean, here's the way the Wall Street Journal wraps up their editorial today. The plight of imprisoned Americans is awful, and the decision of what to give up in return for their release is difficult for any president. I understand that. This is the editorial board, we've been forgiving of prisoner swaps, but rewarding Iran with money for hostages amounts to financing its malign activities and encouraging it to take more American prisoners. Let's just let that out there for a minute. The plight of imprisoned Americans is awful, and the decision of what to give up in return for the release is difficult for any president. But rewarding Iran with money for hostages amounts to financing its malign activities and encouraging it to take more American prisoners. I don't care if you are on the left or the right. I don't care if you're somebody that thinks that Joe Biden is the greatest thing since canned beer or somebody that thinks that Joe Biden is the Antichrist. It doesn't matter. Can't we agree that this is a very, very dangerous precedent and it's bad policy? $6 billion to a rogue nation that once they get the money, there's going to be no restraints on what they do with it. And darn well that one of the things that's going to happen is this is going to be used to finance, it's going to be used to finance weapons that Iran is providing to Russia, which is going to be used in Ukraine. So you know that there's going to be lives lost as a result of this. And you want to get the people back. But $6 billion, come on. Can't we do better than that? Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to find out what John McCure has on his mind for Wisconsin's Afternoon News. He's back from the State Fair as well. Don't go anywhere. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Everything you need to know on your way home.
Former Governor Tommy Thompson.
You run as a Republican, you run as a Democrat. But once you win, join the W Party. Join the winning party.
Wisconsin's Afternoon News with John McCure.
I'm joined by Wisconsin U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly.
And Greg Matzik.
Take the smoke away a little bit, kind of makes it not as smoky as the original, but the smoke flavor profile is definitely still there.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on WTMJ.
Hey Wisconsin, Greg Matzik here, inviting you to connect with summer and drive inspired in a new Mazda or Mazda certified pre-owned model from Holiday in Fond du Lac. It's the destination to gear up for your journey, score enticing offers, get more for your trade, all while enjoying Team Holiday's genuine guest care and simplified buying approach. It's the stuff that makes fans of drivers from all over, and I'm one of them. Explore all that's new, including the first ever Mazda CX-90, and treat yourself to a test drive at Wisconsin's #1 Mazda dealer. It's #1 Mazda certified certified pre-owned dealer and the Badger State's only recipient of the prestigious Mazda President's Club Award, recognizing excellence. Accolades are per Mazda North American Operations Performance and Zone Sales Records for 2022. With selection growing daily, you can choose one that's in stock today or reserve one that's on the way. Find yours and discover the difference during the Season of Discovery sales event at Holiday Mazda, Highway 41 and 23 in Fond du Lac, and at holidaymazda.com. It's worth the trip.
The next time you're due for service, visit richlawns.com to schedule an appointment at any of our 5 conveniently located facilities.
All AAA approved and all staffed by